I don't expect you to know that people from Haiti are actually majority Catholic, and people from poorer areas tend to be more religious. But since you're an ignorant bigot to fuck with, I wouldn't expect you to know that. All right, make sure that my live is started. All right, cool. My live has started. All right, y'all. Just making sure that my live will start it everywhere. All right, American Outlaw, go ahead and come on up. Let me just go ahead and start in the call-in line. The call line is about to open. Yeah, so for anyone who disagrees with me, you guys can just go ahead and come up.
You are connected as the host. Welcome, host. You are now in the host room and can manage your callers from the call-in studio web interface.
Awesome. All right, y'all. So y'all heard that. So call-in lines are now open. You guys go ahead and start to come on in. Yeah, Godless Engineer was in here. Yeah, he was just here. But I think he's busy now. He might have needed to go real quick. But I'll be at the Rocket City Reason Tour with Godless Engineer, with Mandisa Thomas, with Thinker, with Black Atheist Rants, with Forrest. Forrest is definitely a guy I'm excited to meet. Forrest is the GOAT. How's it going? David, how's it going, David? Are you at least 18? And did you disagree with what I had on the board?
I can give you a good reason to like believe in God.
All right,
would you like just say that? Would you like just say that God is like, you know, the first cause of the universe, the one that who made it?
We don't know that yet. We just know that the Big Bang happened, but we're not sure why it happened. It's probably quantum fluctuations, but that's something that's above my pay grade to explain. So it's best to talk to a quantum physicist about that. But we just can't assume. God. Hold on, we just can't assume that a God created the universe.
I am not assuming. What I am saying is trying to get down semantics, just like, you know, defining God.
Oh, basically. Okay, yeah, God. I'm talking about the God of like basically classical theological religion, especially the Abrahamic ones in our Western tradition.
I would say that God is the first unmoved mover. Is he first unmoved mover? I am like doing Thomas Aquinas' first way argument that God's the first unmoved mover.
Okay, how do you show that to be true?
How do I show that to be true?
Mm-hmm.
So like, you know, I can like give you the full syllogism right now.
Right. Syllogism doesn't show anything to be true. It's just like a cute little philosophical argument, which is fine. But how do we actually? What is the evidence that we have to show that it's true?
What do you mean by evidence?
Well, when I say evidence, what do you think of? Basically, something that's demonstrable and verifiable, right?
I would say, which type of evidence are you talking about? Empirical? I mean, something like that.
Empirical is what we mostly go with. Yeah, sure. I would say something empirical because that's what we mostly go with for almost everything in our lives.
I can like describe like what I'm talking about. Basically, what I am saying is, so when you look at everything, it like, you know, had to have a mover. Like, you know, like let's say example, like, you know, a bullet in a pew. Somebody like pressing the trigger and then like the gunpowder doing its thing. That was the mover for the bullet to like, you know, do its action. When you look at everything around you, it like, you know, had to have a mover. So yeah.
When you that's my thing. Like when you say mover, why would we assume that it's some sort of being and not a natural process that we don't understand yet?
Yeah, because it would like just be special pleading if you like just said, well, like the universe is the like only thing that like did not have a unmoved mover. I mean,
Okay, so so what if you said that the universe is the only thing that had an unmoved mover, like we can't say that because that applies to the God, right?
no, no, no,
God
no,
is an
no, wait,
unmoved thing.
I blundered. No, no, wait. It would like be special pleading to like say that like the universe is the only thing that like did not need to have a mover, like it like always existed. So
Right.
yeah.
Doesn't that apply to the God?
um no,
Why not?
because like what I'm saying is that God was the like first God God like was the first unmoved mover.
Okay, but that's
He
special
was the one
pleading,
that like
right?
moved.
But
He
that's putting you in my
no
same position as special pleading.
no no, it's not. What I said with special pleading was like saying that like the universe is the only thing that like did not need to have a mover.
Right. That the same thing applies to your God.
No, it doesn't. What? Explain.
How does it not? So your God doesn't require a mover? Your God requires a
Um,
mover, right? Does your God require a mover or not?
we think that God is eternal,
Right. So the
and like
universe is eternal. It
exists
applies.
outside of space.
Cool. The universe is eternal. It applies the same thing. That's what I'm
No, it
saying.
doesn't.
You can't. Yes, it does. Because you're saying the exact same thing that I'm saying. I can say the exact same thing about the universe that you say about your God. The exact same thing. I can say that the universe didn't need to require a mover. The same thing that you're saying about your God. Your God didn't require a mover. I can literally say the exact same thing. That's the problem. So what do we do with that? That gets us nowhere.
uh, can you like give the argument for how the universe can is like internal? I mean,
Yeah, sure. Energy can't be created or destroyed. And that means that energy is eternal, and probably the way that we understand time is linear, but time truly could also just be something that's eternal. Same thing.
time. Yeah. What do you like mean by time?
Time, like a sequence of events.
A sequence of events. So yeah. So in this sequence of like events, there was nothing to like move or start the sequence of like events.
What?
What you are saying that like when you say that time is the when you say that time is eternal, yeah. These like sequence of like events, yeah. Um, there was basically nothing. If time is like internal, there was nothing to start these sequence of events. These like sequence of events, just like always happen.
Is your God
Can you
eternal?
explain?
Is your God eternal?
Can you like? Yeah, wait. Can you can you explain how like these like sequence of events did not like need to start?
Yeah, no, I can't explain that. The same way you can't explain your God.
That you like can't explain my God. Like I can like give you a definition of like God. Explain them like maybe like a classical theist definition.
Right. So, David, what I'm trying to say is that any criticism that you held at me that the infinite regress, you can't explain, how infinite regress came to all the way now. That all explains your God, because if God existed eternally, that makes him also an infinite regress. So it's the exact same thing. That's what I was trying to say. If you're going to say that God is something that doesn't need to require a mover, I can say the same thing about the universe. The universe doesn't require a mover. The beginning of what we understand could not even be the beginning. It just could be a form that we don't understand yet. You know what I mean? Like it's the exact same issue. If we say that you're God, okay, if your God existed eternally, where your God came from, and how can something exist eternally? You could just say you don't understand yet. I could say something about the universe. I don't understand yet. You see what I'm saying? So none of this makes a God exist or proves that there's a God. We're just going back and forth with any type of argument that we would like to have, but that doesn't really show that a God exists. You would need to, at the end of the day, you would need to have some sort of something empirical to show that what you're saying is true. And do we have that? If we don't have that, then what's the reason to believe it?
So, so you're a empirics empiricist?
Mostly, I'm
Empiric-
pretty sure if we go down a litany of things, there's something that's not empirical that I kind of just believe on default. Probably our senses. Yeah, I mean, like our senses can fool us, right? So that's probably going to be the only thing, but it's the only thing we have, right? It's the only thing we have. So
Um,
if we
our
go down a
senses?
litany of list, there's probably something that I have to believe, but doesn't have something that's empirical behind it.
Yeah.
You know?
Are you talking about your six senses?
Yeah, probably the senses are probably is
Yeah.
probably the only thing. Like I don't have anything outside of my senses to empirically show my senses are true, but it's the only thing that I have, right? I can't interact with the universe without my senses. Just like you can't interact with the universe without your senses. You can't interact with your God without your senses either. Yeah, I mean, so that's the only thing.
Atheists could like pull up studies, like empirically proving senses. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Do you think that like a mind is like empirical?
Is the mind empirical?
Yeah.
Well, I define mind the same way we define consciousness. So yeah, that can show to be empirical. We have research to show that our consciousness is like real.
And we also have research to like show how senses are like real. I don't see how the only thing in your view that like is not empirical is our six senses. I mean,
Right. I was just giving an example. Like that's the first thing that I thought of. But I'm pretty sure if we go down a list of things, we're gonna find something that I have to believe in. I don't have empirical evidence for. Right. I give that to Christians. We'll just have to go down a list of things, and we don't have time for that. But for the most part, yeah, like our senses. Like I'm mostly an empiricist. I would say, just for the sake of argument, we could say that. Yeah, I'm mostly an empiricist.
but yeah, I have to go. Thank you for the good faith combo.
Not a problem. I appreciate you. All right, guys, keep liking the live and keep sharing. Keep liking, keep sharing. I do appreciate everybody here today. You guys are amazing and wonderful. I'm going to get our next caller, Rose. Give me 1 second. I do have a caller on my line. He's not gonna be able to hear you, but you'll be able to hear him. Give me 1 second. All right, Rose. I'll be right back with you.
Can you hear me? First of all, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Give me 1 second.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, 502. How's it going? 502 over on my line. Can I get your name, age, and did you disagree with what I had on the board? You there, 502? 502, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello?
There you go. Can I get your name, age, and did you disagree with what I had on the board? Whoops, sorry about that. I accidentally muted you. I'm sorry about that. Can you say your name again?
Yeah, Samuel.
All right, Sam. And you said you're 18?
Yes, sir.
And did you disagree with what I had on the board?
You said what?
Can you give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Well, that's kind of what I'm looking for,
Okay, great. All right, Sam, 18. What's that good reason to believe in a God?
Because, the only reason that we have light is because of God. The only reason that we have light is because of God.
Okay, cool. So that's a claim. Can you show that God exists first?
There's light.
There's light.
Oh.
Yeah, light doesn't show that a God exists. Light is photons. So how does that show that a God exists?
How does that show that God exists?
Right.
Oh, for one, how would light even begin? You know what I'm saying? Like, how would the earth start without a God? How
Right.
would
So you should probably talk to like a physicist or a cosmologist about that, because they can explain those things. Like, for example, light that we know as photons, right? That comes from like elementary particles. They're made out of like electrons and things like that. Do you know about electrons and neutrons and those type of things?
I don't personally, but like, I'm standing my ground on, like, if God wasn't here, there would be so many like bad things that happened
Like
that
what?
wouldn't happen.
There's already bad things that happen.
So the only reason that I believe in God is because about 4 or 5 years ago, my mom got in a car wreck and she was gonna die.
Okay, cool.
Like,
So here's what I'm gonna say first, Sam. I'm happy that your mom is still around. I'm really glad that you didn't lose your mother. Like, I know people who lost their moms or their parent or their dads, and it's horrible, right? I haven't lost mine yet, and I'm glad about that. But that doesn't show that your God exists.
she was supposed to die. She was internally bleeding, broken ribs. You know, she couldn't like wake up. She couldn't remember nothing. But like
I got a
after
concussion 2 years ago, and I could have died. Is my concussion the reason that I survived it is because of God?
yes, sir.
How do you explain people
Oh,
who got into the same accident that I got into and died?
well, because God picks who is worthy of who He is.
Oh, okay. So my friend who got into an accident at 17 and died, he wasn't worthy, but I was.
I mean, it depends. You know what I'm saying? It depends on
On what?
how, like, depends on the sin.
He was a sinful kid at 17.
I mean, I don't know because I don't know who he is. I mean,
Right,
me
but you just
personally,
said, but you just said that it depends on who's worthy and who's not. That would mean that my friend wasn't worthy because he died. You see the problem with what you're saying?
no, not really, because like,
Okay, your claim is that your mom's your claim that God chooses who's gonna live or die based on who's worthy. Your mom lived because she was worthy. My friend died. That didn't mean that my friend wasn't worthy. But then when I asked you about to clarify, you said you don't know. So which one is it? Do you know who's worthy or do you not know? You see the problem?
well, how am I supposed to know who's worthy if I'm not God?
You just said it depends on that.
Yeah, but how am I supposed to know who's worthy if I'm not God?
How do you know that's the reason in the first place? If you don't know who's worthy and who's not, how would then you know that's the reason?
Because I've seen it so many times. Like,
I understand that you've seen people survive horrible things, but how do you know that God is deciding who's worthy and who's not if you don't know who's worthy and who's not? That doesn't make any sense.
Because I'm pretty sure God could find out who's worthy and who's not.
But how do you, what I'm asking is, how do you know God is deciding that way? How do you know that?
Because, I mean, have you never read the Bible? It literally tells you everything you basically need to know about life and life.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Where in the Bible, where in the Bible can I find quantum physics?
Quantum physics doesn't have nothing to do with God, bro.
But it exists, right? It's a part of our life.
Yeah, but it does
right.
not have.
So, but Sam, you said that the Bible can tell us everything that we need to know about life, but it can't tell us about quantum physics. It can't tell us about geology. It can't tell us about chemistry. It can't tell us about any of those things, right? So the Bible is simply a collection of beliefs from ancient cultures. That's all it is. It can't tell us anything else.
It proves that there was a Lord. There was a man that was that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so if the Bible proves that there's a God, if I prove that the God of Abraham is true, does the Bhagavad Gita prove that the God of the Indians is true?
I mean, no, but yes at the same time.
No, but yes at the same time. You understand how silly that sounds, right? The Bhagavad Gita, the Hinduism is older than Christianity. Hinduism existed before Abraham was born. So doesn't that mean that Hinduism is more true than Christianity if it existed before Judaism?
I mean, God did pretty much create like everything. So
Okay, so God created a religion that has nothing to do with a Yahweh. That why would he do that? It's kind of silly.
because listen, I mean, God's not going to change people's perspectives about things, but he's also not going to show himself because, I mean, what? You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
Like, why
so wait, hold on. God's not going to show himself, but he showed himself to Moses and showed himself to Paul on the road to Damascus. Showed himself to the 12 elders of the Israelites. He showed himself before, but he's not going to show himself because we don't deserve it now. I don't get it.
No. It's not that we deserve it. He wants to find the worthy people, the people that like sin, like you know what I'm talking about, like bad sin, like murder and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to find those type of people. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of hard if you show yourself because everybody's just going to want to praise you, and everybody's just going to want to like.
I wouldn't. If God showed himself, I wouldn't praise him because there's a lot of shit in the Bible that I don't agree with what he did. So I wouldn't praise him. He can show himself and we could reject him. It doesn't break free will if he shows himself.
Oh yes.
Okay, so if he, are you saying that if he shows himself, my body is automatically going to want to worship it? Is that what you're saying?
You're gonna definitely.
You would know that this isn't a game, and there's no
If
reason.
you've seen God, you would drop to your knees. I promise you.
No, I wouldn't. Why? Fuck that guy.
It sounds like
Why?
P. Diddy.
Why?
Yeah, why would I do that? This is the same guy that said that slavery was fine. So why would I show him? Why would I praise it?
And child sacrifice.
You know what's funny? Slavery isn't even.
Slavery isn't what?
Really, I mean, I'm sorry for cussing, but like I do not care about slavery.
Of course you do.
Yeah, of course.
Because I mean,
he's a white supremacist.
Hold on, Sam. Give me a second. Okay, so everybody on my TikTok, he can't hear you, but you can hear him. All right. So just everybody mute for me real quick. I appreciate y'all over on my TikTok. Sam. Yeah, so I understand that you don't care about slavery because it's not that time anymore, et cetera, et cetera. However, this is the same God that said that slavery was fine. So why should I worship a guy that said it was fine, that what happened to my ancestors was all good and well? Hell, probably would even happen to yours if you descend from like the Irish and shit, because the British enslaved them. You know what I mean? So like what's like why should we worship a God that's that horrible to say that this is all good and well?
I'm actually black and white. I'm not.
Oh, okay. So you did this. So what happened to our ancestors? He did say it was fine. So you're good with that?
Well, if it's not happening, then why should we worry about it? You know what I'm saying?
No, it's still happening. It's still happening.
No more.
It's still happening. Just not the type that we understand. It's not the what's that one called? The chattel one that happened 200 years ago. That one isn't happening, but prison slavery is still happening, definitely.
I'm looking in the comments, and this guy right here, Mary.
Don't worry about the comments. Don't worry about the comments. Talk to me. Don't worry about the comments.
Okay, I got you. So if God believed in like slavery, then why would he, like, you know, why would it stop?
Because we stopped it. We said that we stopped it. We said that this book no longer comports to our modern morality, so we stopped it.
Yeah, I wonder why though.
Because we'll probably have better morals than him.
No.
Yes. Well, first you need to show that a God exists first, and you haven't done that. You just said that things exist, therefore God. That you're skipping a portion. You need to have the evidence first.
Well, if God didn't exist, so I promise you there would not be nothing.
Wait, how do you know that? How do you know that?
You wouldn't even have a house, bro.
How do you know that?
If God wasn't a thing, there would be nothing.
Wait, how do you know that? You just can't keep saying if God wasn't a thing, there'll be nothing. How do you know that? Like, how do you prove what you're saying is true? That's what I'm trying to ask.
If God wasn't a thing, why was there slavery? Like you said.
If God wasn't a thing, why wasn't there slavery? There was slavery.
Yeah, but if God wasn't real, why was there slavery? If God wasn't real, why was somebody hung on a cross for our sins?
Yeah, because the people was hung on a cross because the Romans tortured their enemies of the state, and Jesus was an enemy of the state. Like, you realize that Jesus was not the only one hung on a cross, right? Spartacus was also hung on a cross, and Spartacus was like 200 years before Jesus.
And if God wasn't real, then why would Jesus come down to earth and help the people?
How do you know that Jesus had powers? Just because the Bible says it doesn't make it true. We need to know how it's actually true first. You just can't say, oh, Jesus did this. How do you know that? Because I can say Spider-Man #1 says Peter Parker was bitten by a radioactive spider. That doesn't make it Peter Parker true. Just because it's in a book doesn't make it true. That's what I'm trying to say. And just because a lot of people take that book very, very seriously still doesn't make it true. You need to actually prove that it's true first. How do you do that?
How do I do that? Well, if Jesus wasn't doing all these things, then why would there be hope in this world?
Bro, you think that before Jesus people didn't have hope? Like, this is very, very bad, man. Come on, Sam. I need you to actually, before you say these things. Matter of fact, I need you to go ahead and because we're about to go ahead and drop you anyway because we have to go next. So we have to go to the next person. But Sam, I need you to actually research world history. All right, there were plenty of religions, plenty of beliefs, and plenty of philosophies about hope, etc. before Jesus ever came around. All right, like Aristotle talked about hope. You see what I'm saying? So, and Aristotle existed like 1,000 years before Jesus. So hope existed before he came down, or supposedly he came down before he existed. You need to actually look into world history because this is not really this is bad. All right, like you're thinking that world history is just simply the Bible, but the Bible never mentions India, China, the Americas, Africa, probably Ethiopia and Egypt, but nowhere in Western Africa. You don't see anywhere about Congo in the Bible. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you need to understand that the Bible is not world history. You need to look outside that framework. And probably because you were raised with it, which is why you think that this is all the world is, but you will never find any reference to samurais in the Bible. Probably because it didn't exist at that time, but still, Japan was a place when the Bible was being written, and you see no reference to Japan in the Bible. So obviously this is not world history. You need to look outside of this. You understand what I'm saying? Confucius existed around this time too. He spoke about hope. He didn't know who the hell Jesus was. Like, come on, man. You have to. There's a lot more to the world than whatever the Bible says. That's what I encourage you to do. But I do appreciate you being here. All right, Sam. Go ahead and call in anytime. I appreciate you. All right, guys. I do have a few more callers on my call queue. I do see y'all there. Callers on my call queue. Please be patient. Someone else was on the stage. I'm going to go ahead and talk to that person first, and then I'll get to the callers on the queue. If you are in my YouTube, I appreciate you being there on my YouTube. The call-in line is right there. If you get a busy signal, that's because it's all blocked in right now. Shout out to everybody who's watching me on Volcy Thoughts. Shout out to everybody who's watching me on Deconstruction Zone. Shout out to everybody who's watching Deconstruction Junction. Shout out to everybody who's watching me on the Black Atheist Coalition. And if you're watching me from Twitch, shout out to you there as well. All right. So Cyclic, I know you're a friendly of mine. We're going to go ahead and talk to Beast Boy really quickly. All right, Beast Boy. How's it going, Beast Boy? Are you at least 18? And can you give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Yeah, I'm 27. And yeah, I could give you multiple reasons.
All right, cool. You're going to talk to me for a minute, and then Cyclic is going to talk to you next. All right, Cyclic, I appreciate you. Just be patient with me while I talk to him. All right, bro? Appreciate you. All right, Beast Boy. What is that reason?
Good reason to believe in God is because this world is very messed up. There's a lot of good people, but there's also a lot of bad people. And all of us have no excuse. We've seen the behaviors of human beings. some people really don't want to put on love and love another human being. Some people don't want to be that person. And, you know, with all the crimes and all the tragedies in the world, it would make sense to put your faith in something that is more powerful than yourself. Because if you were to put that faith in Jesus Christ, who is a God, you would have peace amidst the chaos and protection even from the behaviors and actions of other human beings.
Okay, that sounds silly. We can have peace and all that without believing in Jesus, correct?
No, true peace
Why
comes
not?
from Jesus.
Why not? Because I
Because
have
you
peace.
could say you're at peace all you want. That's not going to stop a thief from
How you
trying
know
to
that?
break inside your house.
Right, I know that, but even people who believe in Jesus have thieves break inside their house, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that wouldn't matter. So
Yeah.
So hold on. Bad things happen whether people believe in Jesus or not. So saying believing in Jesus and then things are gonna be good, even according to you, is bullshit.
No, I never said life would be perfect for coming to Jesus. Jesus is about not going to hell. And coming to Jesus does not mean your life will be perfect.
Can you prove
But
hell exists?
your life will be blessed, because you will not receive blessing unless it's from the true God.
What does that what does that even mean? Can you prove that this true God or this Jesus even had powers?
Yeah, of course. There's tons of evidence, and you just willingly choose to reject
What is
anything.
it?
There's the Bible. The Bible is the living word of God. It's not just ink on paper. It's the living, breathing word of God.
The Bible
It
is a
has
claim.
power.
The Bible is a claim, it's not evidence.
Bible is not a claim. The Bible is a history book of what happened in those times.
No, I mean it's a historical collection of things that were going on, sure, but it's not a complete history book. Where's Japan in the Bible?
It doesn't need to be.
Hold on. Where is Japan in the Bible?
Japan is irrelevant in the Bible.
Exactly. No, I agree with you. Japan is relevant in the Bible. That means that the Bible is not really a history book. It only tells you a collection of legends and histories that were happening in a certain region. It's not a history book.
Well, the Japanese people are the same like the people in America. We all need Jesus.
But
that's the point of the Bible.
Hold on. You're not actually addressing my point. Your claim was that the Bible is a history book, but it's not. Proven by the fact that it's only a collection of beliefs and legendary stories of what was going on in a certain area at the time. That's not history.
Yeah, you're being a hypocrite, because if you open any history book, the history book is not going to tell you everything. It's going to tell you a little bit of things.
Of
That's
course,
why there's lots of books.
Hold on. Listen to what I'm saying again. The Bible is a collection of stories, legends, and beliefs that were going around in a certain area at a certain point of time. It doesn't actually give you history. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, history books, like if I open up a book on European history, I'm going to read about the British Isles. I'm going to read about the Norman invasion. I'm going to read about Rome, Greece. I'm going to read about the Germanic tribes, the Gauls, the Visigoths, etc., the Byzantine Empire, all that good stuff. If I open up a history book about Africa, I'll see about the Nox civilization, Nubia, ancient Egypt, great Zimbabwe, Congo, Mali Empire, Mansa Musa, Shaka Zulu, etc. If I open a book about East Asian history, I'll read about the Qing dynasty, Japan, the Korean dynasties, etc. When I open up the Bible, I see Saul, David, Solomon, Absalom, and then a list of names. It's not really giving me history, not really giving what's going on. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's giving you the history of your creator. That's why it's giving you the history of your creator and how he deals with his people.
But were there civilizations and religions that existed outside of that?
Yes, of course.
So how do we know that this is the right one?
Because whatever you want to blame, like, it all depends, like, whether you want to believe in God or not. Like, are you an atheist, or do you?
Yes, I'm an atheist, but what I'm saying is that I understand that this book says a certain thing. My question is, why should I believe that? I understand that you believe it. I understand that you believe it with all your heart. That's all good and well. I'm not arguing that you don't believe it or not. I'm asking you, why should I believe it? What's the good reason for me to believe that? Because, like, you have as much evidence as the Bhagavad Gita. So why would I not be Hindu?
Yeah, so simple answer is that no one has had the impact that Christianity has. There's a whole bunch of testimonies I just told you that the Bible is a history book plus the gospel, the good news of salvation.
Let me ask you a question, Beast Boy. Let me ask you a question, Beast Boy. If Constantine never became Christian, would Christianity be as good as big as it is today?
Yeah, of course.
Nah, that's wrong.
God's word. No, it's not wrong. You cannot. You don't even have evidence for backing your claim right now. Get out of here.
I'm actually telling you what the evidence is, because Constantine made Christianity the religion of the Roman Empire, and the Roman Empire was the biggest empire in Europe during that time. So that changed the course of history. If Constantine didn't become Christian, if he became Muslim, you'll be arguing with me right now about Allah.
Yeah.
You think God, the God of Israel, is going to allow his people to become Muslim? No, Muslim is not the way.
My guy,
Jesus is the truth, the way, and life.
My guy.
Boys,
Beast Boy. You
You're
realize,
just making shit up.
Beast Boy, you realize that we have the descendants of ancient Israelites that are in Palestine right now, and they're Muslim.
Yeah, that's because God allows free will, which is why he allows liars to exist.
You just said that God would not allow his people to become Muslim. You just said that.
Yeah, that's
so. Were you wrong or were you lying?
Bible,
were you wrong or were you lying? Were you wrong or were you lying?
Stop being a hypocrite and read your Bible.
So, Beast Boy, your claim.
You read your Bible.
Beast Boy, you claimed that God would not allow his people to become Muslim. I then said that there are people in Palestine right now who are descendants of the ancient Israelites, and they're Muslim. So obviously you were wrong.
No, the Bible even says they would deceive even the elect.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on now. Cyclical, I do apologize that we didn't get to it yet, but I promise I'm gonna go ahead and get to you on the next one. All right. So for everyone who's on my line right now, we're gonna go ahead and get to 936. 936 is going to be next, and then we're gonna go get to Black Power, Lull, and Timmy. All right, 936. How's it going, 936? Can I get your name, age, and did you disagree with what I had on the board? Or can you give me a reason to believe in God, actually?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Name, age, and can you give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Yeah, my name's Hunter, 23, and I can give you plenty of good reasons to believe that there is some type of God.
Sure. What's that reason?
I heard you say earlier. Yeah, I think I heard you say earlier that you were atheist. So I think the first reason that I'd like to hit on is, or at least I want to preface something. I can't prove to you pretty much anything. I'm not going to try to waste my time to say that there's 100% proof of something in terms of a belief in a God. I can only give you evidence and what I feel is most reasonable to believe. Does that sound fair?
Okay, what's the evidence?
Yeah. So the first one I'd like to start with is the fact that the universe is not eternal.
Okay, so.
And yeah, so if the universe is not eternal, then it had a beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And anything, and I'm going to use what's called the Kalam cosmological argument. It's
anything that has a beginning has a cause.
Right. Yeah, you know that.
How do you know that cause how do you know that cause is a willful being and not a natural process that we don't understand?
Well, that's a good question. By definition, it can't be a natural process because what we define as natural is contained within the universe, and the cause has to be outside of that.
Why?
So by definition, it has to be supernatural.
How do you wait? Have you ever read? So let me ask you a question. Are black holes supernatural?
No.
Right. So when we look at mathematical models of what's going on inside of a black hole, the conditions inside of a black hole are determined to be basically the conditions that we saw in the beginning of the Big Bang. So if it's possible that means that many physicists have postulated that our universe is basically inside of a black hole. So that will make our universe natural.
What? So you're saying that the data that we have extracted so far from the state of existence within black holes is similar to the data we've extracted from the beginning of the universe?
Right. They're very, very similar. Now, it's not absolute proof, but it does show that whatever is happening inside of a black hole it could be causing new universes, and ours could be one of them, since they're so similar.
Do any of the black holes that we observe today produce universes?
We don't know because we can't go inside one. But we're just it's just from the data that we've extracted.
Right, but so that actually would imply an infinality.
It would. But the second thing that I would say is, even before we get into that, just because it's outside of what we would see our observable universe to be, doesn't mean that it has to be supernatural. It could still be natural.
But whatever caused the universe to happen has to be outside of what's contained within the universe, logically speaking.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Like like
well,
what's natural?
If time began,
uh-huh.
If time began, how can the creator of time also be constrained by time?
Time is a sequence of events, right? Like there's a before, the beginning, and an after.
That's the relation of cause and effect. I wouldn't necessarily categorize that as the definition of time.
So what is time?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess
time has to be a sequence of events. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Man, what the fuck going on in this?
No, it's fine. I think cause and effect is definitely part of time, but I don't think it's the entire definition. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Like there are things about time that we don't know and understand yet. I could get that, but what I'm saying is that from what we understand about time, it being a sequence of events, then the God has to follow that, because it has to be a before he created everything, right?
Well, there has to be a before he created. Well, yeah, but there was not a before the creation of time. There was, because our concept of time is like we look at the universe and we look at the cause and effect relationship that we've observed from the Big Bang, and we can see from many different points, like the second law of thermodynamics, that there was a Big Bang. Like that's something there's a lot of evidence points to that, but that's as far as the science that we can actually observe naturally goes, right? It doesn't. As soon as you step past, well, what about before that, or what about this, or anything else? You kind of step outside of the realm.
Man, what the fuck going on in this line, nigga? Y'all got me fucked up.
I'm hesitant to say that. Well, actually, hold on. Let me think about this for a second. There was a time before God created. Well, I wouldn't say that, because time began at creation.
Time began at creation. All right. So what? But does God exist eternally?
Yeah, working backwards from the evidence of the Big Bang, because time began at the Big Bang. Whatever caused the Big Bang, if it was God or something else, whatever that was, have to be timeless and eternal.
Okay. How do we know that there's not forms of time that we don't understand yet?
We don't.
Right. So like that could be the answer, right? What I'm trying to get at is that we just can't jump to the conclusion that it had to be an eternal being or a willful being or anything else like that. We just don't have any evidence yet. It could just be a big I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's exactly right. That's why I said I wanted to use evidence. And it could be that. You're absolutely right. It absolutely could be. Anything's technically possible, but there's no evidence to support that claim. So it's not reasonable to actually believe that.
Right. That's the same thing I say about a God. There's no evidence to support the claim. So there's no reason to believe that. There's no evidence to support that there's an eternal being willfully creating universes. So there's no reason to believe that.
Well, so you don't think that the fact that time didn't exist until creation happened, that whatever caused the universe to exist have to be eternal? You don't think that logically follows as evidence for that claim?
No.
Why not?
Because how do you actually justify that? How do you actually show that to be true?
It's just pure logical reason and philosophical deduction.
Right. So like when you say this is where time began, so something before that had to be timeless, it could just be not that's not necessarily true. It doesn't necessarily have to be timeless, because time could be eternal. or our understanding of time could just be bad, right? We don't understand time yet, because when we get to the Big Bang, the the -1, at that point our concept of time doesn't really formulate, doesn't exist at that point. So it's just our concept of time. It is not really time eternal or time for what we actually know time to be.
Right, but the alternative would be an eternality of causes and effect relationships within something like a universe or a multiverse, or however you want to define it.
Yeah, sure. What's wrong with that?
The problem with that is that we don't see that as evidence of ever occurring. Like, we have the second law of thermodynamics, the fact that the universe expands from a single point, the fact that there's entropy. And these are all things that point to a high density energy state that is moving towards a low density energy state.
We don't know that.
So,
we could just be within the same energy state. Like a thing, like how you said energy can't be created or destroyed. That means that energy is eternal. And if time comes from energy, then there you go.
Well, the whole energy cannot be created nor destroyed. The first law of thermodynamics is that operates within the observable universe under the lens of physical observation, because science is the study of observation and processes. That's what we observe in processes. But as far as what we observe when we talk about the Big Bang, it says that there is a beginning. So something that we define as energy did have a beginning. But after that beginning, it hasn't been created nor destroyed. It just had an ultimate beginning, and this energy moves in different forms at different energy states.
Right.
That's what it's referring to when it says it cannot be created nor destroyed. It's after the Big Bang.
Right. But what I'm saying is that the conditions that we see in the Big Bang are similar to the conditions of a middle of a black hole. So it could still be something that's completely natural until we get evidence for anything that's, some eternal thing. If eternity could even exist, then what's the reason to believe that? I don't think I don't think it logically follows that because time as we know it started, therefore something timeless must have made it. That's a kind of a non sequitur. We can't show why. We can't justify that leap at all. Like, how did you rule out everything else?
Well, because everything else doesn't have nearly as much evidence to support it.
There is no evidence to support, but there is no evidence to support a timeless being.
Well, the very fact that the universe is not eternal points to an eternal uncaused cause. That's the whole point.
But how do you know that? Well, how did you rule out a natural process? How did you do that?
Because the natural process cannot create the universe, because by definition, a natural process is confined within the parameters of the universe.
No, it's not. I just told you. But I just told you we have evidence that the conditions of the Big Bang are similar to the conditions of what's going on in the black hole, and which what you said is completely natural.
Conditions are?
The dense state, the gravity crunching into a hot dense center, the event horizon, things like that.
Right. So you're saying it's more reasonable to believe that within every single black hole that we observe is its own universe being created?
Probably.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I don't see the reason why it's not. I think that's reasonable.
So that would imply, and in each of these universes that we find in these black holes in our universe, they have their own black holes, which have their own universes, correct?
Yeah, and it keeps going and going and going. It could be something that's,
and it keeps going. So therefore, you don't actually have a problem with inertality.
I don't have a problem with
that's what that would mean.
Right. I don't have a problem with inertality, with something that exists eternally. I have a problem with an eternal being. How do we show an eternal being?
Oh, so okay, I see what you're saying now. So is your confusion like this has to be a personal being that with a thinking mind?
Right.
Okay, yeah, we can talk about that. When we talk about that, I think that moves away from the physical evidence of time and space, because the personality and the willful act of whatever this being could be, I think we can stem that from the fact that the universe actually exists at all. I think whatever caused the universe, like, it doesn't do that like randomly out of chaos. There has to be a decision to be made to actually do the way that it did.
Why? Because from what we see, the eternal vacuum, like vacuum fluctuations, has particles popping in and out all the time. There's no decisions being made there.
Well, you're referring to something contained within the universe, but these particles don't ever create something like the universe.
Well, it's not really something that we know for sure. It's just that when we look into a vacuum, like something of absolute nothingness, we see like quantum foam. We see particles popping into in and out of existence, which, you know, like what I'm trying to get out is like, how do we rule out natural processes? Because you're supposed to be saying because the universe exists and everything like that, therefore there had to be a timeless being, a thinking thing. How do we show that to be true without and rule out everything else? Like I'm that's the part that I'm still like struggling with, because I still don't see how you ruled out a natural process that we don't understand. Because like you said, a natural process has to be within the universe, but if it's a natural process that we don't understand, there's something that outside our universe, it's still a natural thing. We just don't understand it yet. But how did you rule that out if we don't even know if that's the case?
Right, and that's a great question, and that's why I prefaced what's more reasonable to believe. What you posited forth is absolutely possible. The only problem with that is I never discovered any type of evidence that would point to that being a more probable conclusion than the one that I presented.
But there's no evidence for your conclusion. That's what I'm saying.
It is not more reasonable for me to believe that.
What I'm saying is that there's no conclusion. There's no evidence to support your conclusion. You're simply saying that you don't see it any other way.
Well, that's the definition of following where the evidence leads. All the evidence that I've given you points to the conclusion.
It doesn't,
but
though.
Saying, but what about this?
What I'm saying is what I'm saying is that it doesn't. You're just leaping to that conclusion. There's no evidence to link it to those two things.
No, I give you the evidence. Like I have my evidence, or I have a claim. I give you the evidence from my claim and the conclusion based on the evidence. And you're saying, no, but what about this? You're giving an alternative conclusion.
No,
you're not giving the alternative evidence.
No, but you haven't given me any evidence. You said this is the universe that we have, and because time started, a timeless being must have created it. You didn't give the evidence that connects those two things.
Okay, okay, yeah. Let me try to talk with the personal, willful decision-making part then. Order and design doesn't come about by chance from chaos. And the reason I say that is because I've never experienced it in my life, nor has anybody that I've talked to experienced that before. So it's not reasonable for me to believe that everything that existed out of the universe happened by chance without some type of intention.
Okay, so order and design doesn't come by chance. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's my conclusion based on my experiences. Yeah.
How do you explain the water cycle?
The water cycle?
Yeah, the water cycle is
how do I explain it?
Yeah, it's very orderly, and that happened completely by chance.
Yeah. Well, in my experience, when I see, like, if I'm walking along the beach, and I'm answering your question, but I'm trying to give it an analogy because I think that might help with where I'm coming from. If I'm walking along a beach and I see the waves coming over and cause ripples in the sand, and the person I'm walking with says, "Oh, what caused the ripples in the sand?" And I would say, "What caused the ripples in the sand?" And he said, "Of course, the water flowed across, and with the physics and the way that water works, it caused these irregular ripples in the sand." And then if we keep going and I see something like John loves Mary, and I ask him, "Where did this come from?" And he said, "Oh, it's easy. It's the waters that roll over the sand and cause John loves Mary." And I equate that to what we find with our DNA pattern. The DNA that we have in every single one of our cells is super packed, highly dense information that it reads almost like a book. Not quite. It's not quite analogous, but based on what we've observed in science, it's an okay analogy to use. And you never see in any other experience like the analogy I gave, where super dense information comes about naturally. John Loves Mary, someone wrote that. So, that wasn't something that was called naturally.
Right. So when it comes to that, yeah, sure. Like, because the name John is not something that's natural in the universe, right? Some like we humans created the word John, so obviously someone wrote John name John John Loves Mary. But when it comes to our DNA, the information that you're talking about is something that we kind of imposed onto it for us to understand it. Essentially, like we look at all of these gene sequences, so therefore we just put in, you know, words and numbers and letters in order for us to understand exactly what we're looking at. But you don't look into DNA and see the letter D, right? It's we just gave it the letter D. Like we don't look into DNA and said, and we see something that says these are allele frequencies. We just say, okay, this is that, and we're gonna call that allele frequencies. You see what I'm saying? So whenever I hear this, and people say like the information and everything like that, that's something that we imposed onto DNA. The DNA isn't telling us anything. We just looked at it and said for us to understand what we're looking at and to explain to everybody else, this is what we're going to put on it. You see what I'm saying? So when it comes to that, like that could DNA is something that's again something completely natural if you understand evolution.
Well, I mean, you're right when you say that we just assign titles and words to better explain and categorize them. That part's absolutely true. The problem is that even if we didn't do that, the same process would still happen. It's the body would read this information in a linear fashion, and if something was knocked off, something wrong would happen. And it's because the way that the specific order and the number and all these different categories that come together at the same time in unity down to its most irreducible complexity is that all of these things have to come in congruence, following the same pattern at the exact same time. Because if you take one of them out, the whole thing falls apart. And that's why the cell is referred to as the most basic form of life, is because of irreducible complexity. If you take one component out of the cell, out of the hundreds and hundreds of components that make up the cell, the whole thing falls apart and it doesn't work.
Right. Irreducible complexity was actually just proven wrong like years ago. But when it comes to that, right? Like yeah, sure. Like all these things have to work in congruence, but that's over billions of years of evolution. Yeah, I mean, like we've shown that to be true as well. I'm pretty sure if we get another billion years, there's going to be, you know, even more complex stuff. As a matter of fact, they've even said like a lot of the genes that we have in our body don't do anything. They're basically just junk DNA. They don't produce at all. You know what I'm saying? It's only the few that we have that does everything that of who we are today. But like that this shows like I think this really goes against the claim that this had to be made by something, right? Because it's like if majority of what you are does absolutely nothing, then that seems to be a pretty wasteful way to design things, does it not?
Well, no, because the claim that most of our DNA is junk DNA and doesn't actually do anything is not true, because most of those genes are turned off at the moment of the sample by epigenomic tags that can be turned on at certain stimuli. So certain genes can be expressed or repressed at specific times, but it's in response to certain stimuli. It's just a snapshot of what's going on. It doesn't tell you that every part of your DNA has to be turned on at the exact same time, because if that happened, there would be so many more genetic abnormalities and diseases that would happen, is because each part of this genetic code codes for something different and for a different function, but these functions are only useful at specific times in response to certain stimuli.
Right.
So that's not true either.
I'm talking about like DNA that doesn't do anything.
There's no such thing as DNA that doesn't do anything.
So every single part of our allele frequencies does something?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how true that is, man. I'll have to look into that. But what I'm saying is that this just shows that this happens over billions of years of evolution. Where do we see like design here?
Well, if I were to get sick and I would want to go find the most talented doctor I could find. And the reason I would do that is because I know that the doctor has studied the body and knows what to do in certain scenarios. And it's because the body is ordered. It has a specific way that it does things. And you can chalk that up to evolution. We can talk about that. But I find the evolutionary theory to be lacking in terms of its explanatory power when it comes to how it happened in the first place. Evolution only applies under the assumption that something pre-exists.
Yeah, something has to exist first for it to evolve.
Right, and so that's where the abiogenesis comes from. It's because we have never seen life come from non-life, but way back when life first began, it actually did come from non-life. But we've never actually witnessed it. But that's just what we think, and the problem with that is that's not a claim. That's not a conclusion that's based on evidence. That's a hypothesis based on wishful thinking. That's blind naivete.
But that's not evolution. Evolution is about when life has already started. You're talking about like origin of life research, like abiogenesis. There's evidence behind that, behind abiogenesis, but it's best to talk to like an origin of life researcher. But when it comes to evolution, it's not lacking anything. Like we know about like gene sequences, biology, like all of that points to, you know, our DNA being similar to other animals and organisms out there. There's like tons of like phylogenetics. There's literally tons of mountains of evidence of that things evolve. We even seen it in a lab. Like we know ring species, everything like that. All that shows, you know, evolution being a thing. What do you think that is lacking? Like, because it's not about, you know, where life started. That's abiogenesis or origin of life.
Well, that's exactly my point. Evolution, like microevolution, that's real. We have observed that through time.
What's the difference between micro and macro? What's the difference?
Microevolution is the type of things that you see with dog breeds, different breeds of the same species, or the different types of finches from Charles Darwin research. Macroevolution refers to the idea that, like the common ancestor theory between all mammals.
But we do have a common ancestor. How do you explain how do you explain like morphology and phylogenetics?
Well, I look at it this way. What we see in the fossil record and the genomes that we see is this is how this animal works. This is why this works. These are advantages for it to survive in its environment, and things can change over time on a small scale depending on its environment. But macroevolution, they extrapolate that data and say, well, this is what could happen in 20, 30 years. Imagine what could happen in billions of years. The problem with that is that you don't see that really ever.
That's not what it says. Like when you look at macroevolutions, macro is basically microevolution over scales of time, because like small changes in allele frequencies. Hold on. Small changes in allele frequencies happen over time, and we see that within the fossil record. Like Archaeopteryx is one of the most famous ones, from dinosaurs to birds. Yeah, I mean, like, so we see this in the fossil record of, you know, different animals, their bones changing over time, and then there are even parts of the fossil record where we see that these animals we don't know like what's halfway between one and the other thing, which is why Archaeopteryx was such a controversy, because some people said it was a bird and some said it was a dinosaur. You know what I mean? But it has the features of both. You see what I mean? So it's like we know that microevolution happens because of that.
Well, what I would say to that is we absolutely have fossil records of these animals that resemble more than one animal type. That part's absolutely true.
That proves macroevolution then, bro.
Well, again, yeah, I understand that. But the problem with that is that what we are observing is an animal that had lived and died that resembled two different animal groups. The problem with that is that they interpret that as meaning, oh, this must be the ancestor of both of these groups. But that's not what the data says. The data says that there was an animal that resembled both that died. That doesn't necessarily say that, oh, therefore, both of these animals that resemble this creature that died hundreds, thousands, millions of years ago is related to this thing.
But if they
That's
have,
not true, because
but if they have the same morphology, how does that not show that they're related to both the animals? If they have the same morphologies, because we know that we know that humans are not related to lions, right? Because we don't have the same morphology, but humans are related to chimpanzees because of the same morphology. So if we have an animal that died 100,000 years ago, and we have two other animals that share the same exact morphology as the one that went extinct, how does it show that they're not related? Well, how do you reach that conclusion?
The only way that you can draw that conclusion is if you can also give reasonable evidence to suggest that if they mated with that creature, that they would create a creature just like it.
Well, we can't do that
and
because
we
they're all
don't see
dead.
like humans cannot reproduce with any other species other than other humans.
Correct,
And
because we're the same species.
Every other animal on this earth follows that. If it mates with any other species or any other creature not like it, there is no way that the egg and the sperm can come together and create something.
Right. So that's how we differentiate between species. Like once you can't reproduce anymore, and even that is fuzzy because tigers and lions are considered different species, but sometimes they can produce an offspring. It's just not viable. That's what mules are. Mules are a crossbreed between donkeys and horses, but mules aren't viable. They're just not viable.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna be able to produce viable offspring if you produce offspring at all. You know what I'm saying? That's how we know that they're different species. Right. Yeah, sure. That's all good and well, but
that's exactly why it's hard for me to believe that macroevolution, the way that popular secular apologists put forth, is that the commonality of life started from a primordial soup that created proteins and DNA molecules, and over billions of years we have a diversity of humans to chimps to fish to monkeys.
Right, but we don't have any evidence of anything else. That's what the evidence shows, from the fossil records to our genetics. Hold on, and from the fossil record to our genetics, this is what all of it shows, right? That's not debatable. There's no genetics that shows that we're not related. Hold on, what genetic study do we have that shows that we're not related to any other mammal?
The fact that we're related is the fact that the genome sequences have similar sequences.
Right, so we're related.
But DNA can literally not operate any other way.
So we're related
with bananas.
So exactly. So we're related. We're related, Hunter. Like we're all related. Hold on. You're saying that the DNA sequences are all the same way in all mammals, but we're not related? That sounds silly.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I apologize if I miscommunicated. The fact that we're related has no bearing on the assertion that there's some type of shared ancestor billions of years ago that was a primordial single-celled organism.
How does it not? If we're all eukaryotes?
Because that's an extrapolation. That's not.
It's not an extrapolation. We're literally all eukaryotes. We're multicellular organisms, all of us. Or all mammals.
Yeah, but you're saying because we're all eukaryotes, therefore we came from something else that was not like a human and not like a chimp.
What evidence do we have that that's not the case?
Because we've never observed that. We've never observed that to be the case.
But we have observed that to be the case. We're all related. We all share the same DNA, et cetera, et cetera. We all have the same morphology, et cetera, et cetera.
When has two animals of the same species produced another animal that was far enough removed to be considered something?
That's not what evolution says. That's not what evolution says. That's not what evolution says.
Well, that would prove the extrapolation.
No, it doesn't. Because that's not what it says. That's a straw man. That's not what evolution says. You can't say that my straw man will prove evolution when evolution doesn't say that. Evolution doesn't say what you're saying.
Okay.
All right. Well, we've been on for about 20 minutes now. I do got to move on to another caller, but I do appreciate you being up.
Okay, no problem.
All righty, guys.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
No problem. All right, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and get to the next caller. I do appreciate y'all being up. Hey, 828, give me a few minutes. I do have Black Power on my live now. Black Power, how's it going, Black Power? Are you at least 18? And did you disagree with what I had on the board? I mean, can you give me a reason to believe in a God?
Yeah, I'm above 18. I think I can. I don't think people really understand the context, like with your title, what you got. But God, the word God, is not a name. It's not a title. It's actually a noun. It could be a person, place, or a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like people reference in the Bible a lot. It's all throughout the Bible that God could be a person, place, or a thing. So the word God is actually a noun. It doesn't actually say what the creator of the universe is or being an intelligent designer or anything. And my take on the universe is I don't really look at a beginning or an end, because when you put the infinity factor in, it kind of kills the beginning and the end. And then when you take into account what the creator is, everybody want to look at the creator as what we physically can understand, but we can also physically understand and scientifically that the base of all creation throughout the universe is vibration and frequency.
Okay, so God is vibration and sequence in frequencies.
No, God is a word.
Mm-hmm. So it's a noun. So it's a noun. It's a person, place, thing, or idea. Cool.
Right. God's a word.
I can get jiggy with that, right? Let's say it's a person, place, thing, or idea. So technically, I can be a god if people assign that idea to me.
People worship their cars, the sun. They call the sun God.
Okay, but
people worship the sun.
Cool.
People say that the sun is the creator of life on Earth.
No, I got you.
You know what I mean?
I got you. I understand that. But now, typically, the definition or the idea of God that I have an issue with, or I use to typically argue against, is the one of Abrahamic faiths, or just all faiths in period. Right. But if we're gonna say that God is the idea that humanity can rise, or God is a person that sits on a throne somewhere, yeah, sure, but I could kill that guy, right? So that's not really what I discuss. But if you're saying that God is simply some sort of idea that people have, yeah, sure, I guess, but that's not really what I argue against.
Right. Okay. So I'm not really trying to argue against it. I'm just it's like clarity things. It's like even when you guys were talking about the evolution of things.
Mm-hmm.
My take on it. I'm 53. And I've been studying a long time about a lot of this stuff. And, a lot of things, we've been taught in these textbooks throughout, a short span of history, the past 100, 200 years. And a lot of things have been told to us in ways that doesn't make any sense. It's not logical. When people back earlier, before things got kind of twisted upside down, we kind of understood things. That's why when you look at more ancient structures, they understood how things worked a lot better than we do. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. As far as the ether, the earth, vibration, and frequencies, and all of those different things that takes place. So, it's just, hey, how you doing? It's just putting in the context, man. I like the context of it, though, because I think that be the issue in the debates, because we're using things wrong. It's out of context. People use the word God kind of loosely.
Okay. Cool. No, I got you, Black Power. All right, so I got a caller, so I'm gonna move to them. But I appreciate you. Drop me a follow. I appreciate you, and stay for more. All right, appreciate you.
All right, no problem.
All right, 973. I'm gonna go ahead and bring you up. Just for a quick commercial break, guys. I do appreciate everybody who's here. Just give a shout out to everybody who's here. If you're on my TikTok, go ahead and tap that screen. I appreciate y'all. If you're over on my personal channel, Volcy Thoughts, again, for everybody who's sitting there, talking to me, talking about Jesus or whatever, you guys, the phone number is right there. All right. I say this every single stream. Y'all be yelling at me in the comments. The phone number is right there, guys. Right there. That goes for YouTube. That goes for TikTok as well. If you can't come up, it's right here. Call in. All right. Shout out to if you're watching me on Volcy Thoughts. Shout out to you if you're watching me over on the Deconstruction Junction. And shout out to me if you're watching me over on the Black Atheist Coalition. If you're watching me over on Twitch, shout out to you there as well. Again, phone number's right there, y'all. The phone number is right there. You guys can call in anytime. All right, we're gonna move on to 973. 973, how's it going? Can I get your name, age, and do you think you can give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Hello, my name is Andrew. I am 18 years old, and I really wanted to encompass basically the human experience, and that's really and also morals as far as like why we should believe in a God.
All right, sure. You cannot have morals without believing in a God.
I do believe that you cannot have objective morals without a God.
Objective morals don't exist, though. Even if a God does exist, that'll still be subjective.
Yes, they will, but they're still what we base off of. Because even if there are different interpretations of the objective morals, there are still roots to where we all can agree. Like there are different faiths. There are like Orthodox, like even in Christianity, there's like different interpretations. There's like Protestant, Orthodox, Catholic, but they all come down to the fact that there is a, Jesus Christ is God, which I'm not arguing on the basis of, Christianity, because I don't believe I can, convince you of that, because that is about faith. But I do believe that in as far as God goes, if there are morals that are common between all religions that we can base off of, and that's what I feel like we do base off of them all the time. Like a lot of constitutions are based on, of course, philosophy, but even those philosophies are based off of a moral and just God most of the time. So,
okay, but like, still, you can still have. The thing is, even if you have subjective morals, you can still. What I'm saying is that you can still there's still like objective observations you can have from a subjective standpoint, right?
Yes, but I mean, I do believe, you could have subjective experiences and such, and they can be some of them can be objective. But in the case of morals, I mean, how can we say that someone is truly wrong if we are all just accidents and there is really no purpose for our existence? What is a human right? Like, why should we give someone the right? Like, or let me say it this way. Why would it be right to throw someone in prison for doing something if truly they are, like what you're saying? I mean, at least from what I've been getting from this conversation is that if you don't believe in a God, I mean, do you believe in like the soul? Do you believe in like something that, no, okay. So like really what I'm saying is like, why then are we throwing people necessarily in prison? Why are we angry at them for doing wrong things? If truly, I mean, I'm assuming that you are only assuming that they do wrong things based on past experiences and genetics. Why is it important? Why are we angry at them then? If they're just victims of themselves and nothing more, if they don't have any conscious free, then what even is free will? Because that's just called behavioral.
And Andrew, I'm struggling with your question. I have no idea what you're trying to ask me. You're throwing so many concepts into a pot and saying why this, why that, why this, why that. I need like a constructive question. Are you trying to ask me why we'll be angry with someone who did harm to someone or to someone else? Like, why will we be angry at that if we're all just soulless sacks of meat?
Yes, I apologize for the
okay. The reason why is because we're a social species. So anything so for us to live together as a social species, things that go against harming individuals within that group, we typically do not like, because it causes incohesion to live amongst each other. Every social species has done this. Like, you can even see it in monkeys and elephants. Like, the individuals within their troop or their group who causes harm to something else, they harm to another individual in the group, they usually oust them or they punish them in some way. Yeah, I mean, so we as a social species, because human beings are the most complex social species, and we have basically, for lack of a better term, a higher order of thinking, we have more complex punishment now, and we understand, some things are not as bad as others, et cetera, et cetera. We have more complexity, more layers, because we're just the most complex social species. But that's essentially the reason why we do that, because we need to live amongst each other. So someone who antagonizes their neighbors is probably not going to, we're not going to like that, basically. It's just the way that we evolved. That's the reason. That's why we evolved. We created morals. That's the reason we created gods, to explain why we have empathy.
Okay. But I'm also asking, like, then what about Hitler's society and Stalin's society, where it was, almost considered normal? And among animals, there are dolphins, and I believe, was it dolphins? I believe it is, that they like routinely, I don't want to say the R word on here because I don't want to be, but they do that to women, to their female dolphins, and that's perfectly okay. They gang the female dolphins. So, and that's, there's nothing wrong with that. So, like, what do you think about that?
Because they're more instinct driven and we're not. We just have more complex ways of thinking than they do. That's essentially the reason.
Why? But like, why would you say we're not still instinct driven? Just because we have logic, do you think that logic still is not weighed in by instincts?
No. Not well. I can't say no totally. I would say maybe not completely. I won't be able to tell you completely why. But as far as our instinct, no, we're not instinct driven anymore. We need to survive amongst each other more often because there's more of us now. Yeah, I mean, we're not in the savannas. We built civilizations. We built ways to protect each other and stuff like that. So we're not completely instinct driven anymore. But when it comes to why we have that different from them, is we just basically evolved in different environments.
Okay. But then I must ask, why is social cohesion good then? What makes that good?
I mean, are we a social species?
Yes, that's true.
Right. So social cohesion is good. Like it just logically follows.
Okay, that makes sense. And the next thing I wanted to ask also, in the pursuit of science, of course, science, you mentioned it before on your the previous person that came up here, and I wanted to ask, why even pursue science? Like, what you have to agree that there is truth, and if the truth must be made by something prior to itself, right? So
why pursue? I mean, people pursue science just to understand the world around them. You know what I mean? So it's basically the reason. Do you think there should be another reason?
More what I'm saying is, like, to pursue science, in the right sense, you must agree that there is a valid truth out there to be able to even discover it. So, and that truth must be created by something prior to itself. And the way I see it is, like, would it not be like a law that is created, and the laws must be created by some sort of being, no?
When we use terms like the laws of physics, we're just simply explaining like what we see, and we don't see anything violating that, like going against it, basically. Like, gravity, for example, what goes up must come down. We don't see anything fall upwards, right? So like that's what we call like the laws of gravity. It's just hard observations that we make. That doesn't mean that anything outside of that created that. It's basically a misnomer. It's just basically observation. It's not law in the legal sense of human society. It's law in the sense of this is what we observe in the universe and we see nothing going against it. So there's nothing really that creates it. It's just our observation. But when it comes to I mean, I think that answers everything else that that you said. When it comes to like pursuing science and understanding science, I don't see a reason why we wouldn't. You know what I mean? Because we need to understand what's going on. I mean, the moment that humans learned how to control fire, we were on our way to pursuing science at that moment. I mean, the moment we learned how to control it, that was done through a scientific process. It took us thousands of years, or at least a few hundred years, to know how to control fire. And that was done through trial and error. That was done through observation. That was done through experimentation. So our ancient ancestors from back then were doing science and not even knowing it. You see what I mean? So that's the reason why we pursue it. The moment that we know how to control fire, we wanted to know everything on how to control about our planet and our universe. And that's basically what science is. Are you saying that our pursuit and understanding the world around us means that the universe around us must have been created? I'm not sure if we can make that leap.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just saying that, like, the pursuit of science is really just the pursuit of truth, and truth is sort of like, can we not call, like, if there is a truth behind everything, like, there must be, to do science, you have to believe that there is a truth behind something, right? That you're trying to find. You're just finding the ways that that truth is communicated, like through formulas and other things like that. But can we not call the all-encompassing truth that is behind everything just God? Can we not just call that God?
What the truth behind everything that we would like to discover, call that I guess you can, but I'm not sure what function that definition has, because if that's the case, I can call, I guess, astrophysics God, right? Like I'm not sure if that has a good function or not.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for having me on here. I think you definitely won that. And I hope you have a great day. I'll try to learn more, and maybe I'll be back on here someday, and we could have a better discussion.
Hey, no, not a problem. And just to let you know, I'm not trying to win everything. These are all just discussions I like to have, but I do appreciate you, Andrew. Go ahead and come back anytime you like.
Okay, thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Not a problem. All right, guys. I appreciate everybody being here. Once again, y'all, the phone number is right there. If you would like to call in, I'll be on here probably like maybe another 20 or 30 minutes because I want to finish cleaning up this area here. I got to sweep and mop and everything. And I'm gonna be chilling with wifey tonight. I'm gonna find a nice movie to watch, and we're gonna curl up with some wine and some Eddie Winslow's. Babe, you doing an Eddie tonight? Maybe. All right, y'all. Yeah, we're gonna be doing some Eddie Winslow's tonight. So, yeah. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take a look at while I'm waiting for another guest. Once again, phone number 786-751-7853. You can go ahead and call in anytime. There were a few people who dropped out that were here. I do know that these people were here and they dropped out because for some reason, too heavy for some reason, didn't want to come up. But even though I invited him plenty of times, Timmy was up here, but Timmy left. Not sure what happened to Timmy, but he said that he was going to go ahead and give me some reasons. And when I was about to get to him, he dropped and left. So if anybody who was there on my TikTok would like to talk about what I have on the board, go ahead and hit that guest button. If you're over on the YouTubes, the phone number is on the board. You can go ahead and call me now if you would like to talk to me. If you're over on Twitch, once again, phone number is on the board. You can go ahead and call me now. And there's been a lot of comments, so I'm not sure if I can scroll back up to read them all. But if there's anyone there in my YouTube comment section of you guys talking at the moment, phone number is right there, guys. The phone number is right there. You can go ahead and call in and talk to me. There were a few people who called in, but oh, there it is. There we go. All right, 828. How's it going, 828? Can I get your name, age, and can you give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Jim, I'm 27, and it all started in Revelation whenever I received a new name, new spirits, many other things. Like, I'm not here to plead, to beg, or to do anything like that. I actually want to hear some of your stance on.
Yeah, sure. All right. So when it comes to things like Revelation, right? What I've always told people, or what something that Matt Dillahunty has said that I agree with, is that testimony is evidence for you, but it's only hearsay for me, right? So how can you show me what you're saying is actually true? Yeah, sure. You experienced something, and I'm not gonna doubt your experience, right? You experienced something, and you experienced it. It's your experience, but what are you attributing that experience to, and how do you know what your experience is actually not that it's actually real, because your experience could be something like that's emotional, and emotions are real, right? But if you're why attribute it to a God and not something that's natural, like euphoria, like just being in a highly emotional state, an excited state? It could be that too. Like for one thing that I've seen is that people who are in church, you can get the same emotions from church that you can get at a Beyonce concert if you're a fan of Beyonce, or if you're a fan of like Slipknot, or a fan of like what's that band name, Metallica, something like that. You get the same emotions. You know what I'm saying, at a Metallica concert. You see what I mean? So it's like, how do you tell the difference between a God and that?
That's the Holy Spirit. Like, that's what holiness is. It's just like, it's just, I had to realize that, you know, like I had to read a verse in the Bible and find out that God was already inside, and like all these other things. Like, I found out like there's so many things that I wanted, and like if I didn't know about them in my younger years, or, you know, like it was just like there was so much tribulation, and then like finally like some kind of come up, and then it was just yeah, like everybody can experience it. That's the thing. It's just like a matter of whenever it's gonna get to that. Like,
right. I mean,
like
yeah, I'm sorry, but yeah, I get that, right? People are going to experience this thing. I've never doubted that. I don't doubt the experience. It's just always, what is it towards? Because like I said, when people usually get their church experiences, their revelations, it's usually in a very highly emotional state, or in a very basically, you know how like lights and sounds can trigger certain emotions. And even when I'm in church, like I still have gone to church before, like you know, to visit family, or if something is happening with family, then I'll go to the church with them and stuff like that. If I get invited, I'll go. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind going. I don't believe anything that they're saying up there, but I don't mind going. You know what I mean? But everything that I've seen, especially, you know, I'm Haitian, right? So like a lot of our songs in Creole are very, very emotional and very, very expressive. You know what I mean? Like, I went to a funeral a few weeks ago, and it you know, you always cry at funerals, right? But when they play certain songs, yeah, you're gonna bawl your eyes out, because it's a very emotional song when you hear it. Now, is that because, you know, there was a spirit of grief and sadness, or is that because, you know, the music that they're playing was sad, so I got sad? You see what I mean? So that's what I always say. What are you attributing it to? Is it this supernatural thing, or is it a natural thing because we're human? I get that people feel what they say is the Holy Ghost, but how do you tell the difference between the Holy Ghost and listening to Megadeth? Like, what's the difference? You see what I mean?
yeah, like it's just, the difference is like there's just so many different words, and then like there's so many of us, and it's just, I met Jesus like in the spirit. It was like try to do the same things that I've done, and it's like I can't even get there myself, and I know that I'm on with Jesus, and it kind of sucks at the moment. Like I'm hungry for like different things, but like they're not. There's always been somebody to let me down, you know. But Jesus, after finally meeting Jesus, I found that he like brought me this far.
I would ask, like, for example, I'm sorry that you had people that in your life that hurt you, like that sucks, right? That's terrible.
Yeah,
but I would then ask, like, have you had people in your life that were always there for you? Like, was there no one in your life that's ever been there for you? And if that's the case, that really sucks. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? But do you have any good people in your life at all?
Yeah, they're all in the Bible. It's like there's so many Bibles, it's not even funny at this point. I don't know, like.
Well, I'm talking about personally, like family, friends, community, anybody?
Like all of the above. Like I usually end up going back to my parents, but they also have names.
I got you. No, you don't have to tell me their names. That's all good and well. But here's what I would say, right? As human beings, I think what a lot of times we pursue perfection, knowing that perfection is not necessarily possible. So people are going to let you down in your life, right? Like, there's been times where I've been disappointed in both my mom and my dad, but my mom and my dad, are they like a cornerstone in my life still? Yeah. Do I still depend on them? Yes. And they're still believers. My dad's still a pastor. You know what I mean? They're still believers, and I still depend on them. And they still pray for me and everything like that. That's all good and well. I don't mind them praying for me. But like, I think sometimes we seek perfection, knowing that perfection wouldn't happen. But if there's an ideology that gives you an idea of perfection, then we tend to think that that ideology must be true then, because it's not the same. It's not only in Christian. Excuse me. It's not only in Christianity. You see that in other Abrahamic religions as well, right? You see that in Islam too. Yeah, I mean, where they tell you that they're not perfect, but the Quran is perfect. You know what I'm saying? Because it gives them a sense of something that's perfection. But does that make it necessarily true? To me, no. Me personally, I would need more than that. But I'm not going to take that away from you, right? It is something that you need in your life to get through what you go through. I'm not going to take that away from you. Like, if you ever call me up one day and be like, hey, I talked to you 2 weeks ago, I'm not believing anymore, I'm depressed, and I think I'm going to take myself out, I will give you my personal number and I will take you to church myself, because I don't want you to hurt yourself. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things. That's where I come from with it. Does that make sense, Jim?
Yeah, it sounds like a great experience that somebody's gonna have. Like I enjoy watching. Like, it's just like another TV show. It's just things are like moving way faster. Like on your end, it's just I do plea. Like it's an in and out situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. I get that, Jim, and like I said, I never want to take your coping mechanisms away from you. This is something that you have to cope with your life, and I'm not gonna take that away from you. Yeah, I mean, yeah, keep on believing. As a matter of fact, let me find you. If you're feeling like if you're feeling like hopeless in life, right? There's Romans 15:13, and it says, may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him. That's a verse that I grew up with. That's what I was typing in my little handy Bible verse thing here. Yeah, I mean, so there's there's verses on hope and everything like that. I don't want you to lose hope. If the Bible and Christianity is what you use to cope with life, if you're feeling hopeless, if you're feeling down, then yeah, I don't want you to lose that. You know what I mean? Like here, there's Romans 15:3, there's Isaiah 40:31. What's a good one? Psalm 3:16. I don't remember it now, but I know it's Psalm 3:16. I bet you if I look it up, let me go on Google right now. Psalm 3:16. Wait, there is no Psalm 3:16. What am I thinking of? Am I thinking John? I was thinking about John 3:16. That's what I was thinking about. I was thinking about John 3:16. My bad. I was thinking about John 3:16. Yeah. But I was thinking about John 3:16. But I know there's a verse in Psalms, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. I forgot which Psalm that was. But yeah, that Psalm has helped me through some bad time when I was a believer. It's helped me out through some bad times. So if let me look that up right now. Our Father who art in heaven. Yeah, the Lord's Prayer. The Lord's Prayer. Yeah, that's helped me out through hard times before. So if that will help you out, you know what I mean? That could help you out too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, bro. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next caller, but I do appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thanks for chatting with me.
Not a problem, Jim. All right, guys. Yeah, the Lord's Prayer. Thanks you fooled me once. That was the Lord's Prayer. There's a verse in Psalm. What am I thinking about in Psalm? Which one I'm thinking about? My cup overflows. He leads me beside still waters. What Psalm is that? Someone. Let me see. My cup overflows. What Psalm? My cup overflows. Yeah. Psalm 23:5. That's what I was thinking about. I was thinking about Psalm 23:5. Yeah, you prepare a table in the presence of my enemies. That's what I was thinking about. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. That one is about like hopefulness and things like that. That's what I was thinking about. All right, we're gonna move on to the next caller. That's 23. Yeah, Psalm 23. Psalm 23. All right, guys. I'm gonna move on to the next caller. Again, if you're over on TikTok, I appreciate y'all for being here, guys. Let's go ahead and get the likes to about 10K. Because I'm gonna be on for maybe about 30 minutes. I have 3 more callers. I'll be on for maybe about another 30 minutes. Go ahead and hit those like buttons for me, y'all. Let's go ahead and try to get the 10K likes. I do appreciate y'all being here. Over on my YouTube, I appreciate y'all being over there on my YouTube as well. Go ahead and call in if you disagree. Over on my Volcy Thoughts channel, over on a Deconstruction Junction. Once again, I appreciate y'all there. You guys are always there shouting me out. Y'all are wonderful. Over on the Black Atheist Coalition, for the viewers watching there, once again, thank you so much. And if you're watching me over on Twitch, once again, thank you so much. I'm going to move on to the next caller. Calling in from 267. 267, how's it going?
Up,
I'm all right. Can I get your name, age,
Good,
and can you give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Yes, sir. This is Kevin. I'm 38. Yeah. So I guess my primary reason that I believe in God comes down to consciousness. Just the fact that we're like able to perceive and be aware and interact with our reality here is enough for me to think that there's a higher power that created that is basically given us the ability to be conscious and make choice. Yeah, I know. A common counter argument to that is that consciousness is a natural result of the brain's evolution. The brain created consciousness and gives us the ability to gives us five senses. We can interact with our reality, but yeah, I don't know. Like to me, like humans, you and I are both made up of the same exact atoms that your coffee mug is made up of. You know what I mean? Everything else in the universe is made up of the same atoms. Different types of atoms and different ratios, whatnot. Different organizations to give you skin versus cotton, whatever. But down to the down to it, it's the same atoms. Like, so where does consciousness come from? Like that's just a hard, that's the hard question, that physicists are working out. So yeah, I'm curious what you've got to say about that. And by the way, man, I love that you're doing this. I love that you're like giving people the opportunity to, talk this stuff out. I love this topic.
Yeah, sure. Not a problem. All right. So when it comes to consciousness, as far as what we see, it's basically an emergent property of, just like how you said, the natural process of our brain, the chemicals, the electrons, et cetera, et cetera. We don't necessarily know exactly everything about it yet. Yeah, I mean, but what we have seen is that we can't detect consciousness without some sort of physical without something physical being there, right? We've never detected consciousness without that.
Right.
So until that's the case,
Right.
like there's no way to say that consciousness is something that's more than our natural processes. From what we see is an emergent property essentially of our brain.
Okay. Yeah. So fair. So my so what comes to mind to me is, I'm sure you've heard the example of the ant walking on the sheet of paper. The ants operating in a two-dimensional space. If there's like an army of ants marching along, you wave your finger an inch above them. They're completely unaware of your presence. You know what I mean? So they're in like 2D space, right? We're in 3D, obviously. So I think that to your point, we don't know where consciousness comes from. I'm inclined to believe that it comes from a dimension beyond what we're able to perceive and what our physical tools give us the capabilities of measuring. So yeah, I think that if there are additional dimensions above and beyond what we're capable of perceiving, it's impossible to know what's in those dimensions, what they consist of, how they influence our third dimension reality, if they do at all. Which just kind of supports the notion that there's more out there, higher powers out there,
Mhm.
and if you follow that string along,
Mhm.
and I don't know how you arrive anywhere but to a single creator.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, when it comes to like the dimensions thing, right? Like, just like how you said, the ant on a sheet of paper, it can't really conceive of us, like a higher, much more complex being, right? And just like we won't be able to, if there is like a fifth dimension, because we're in the fourth dimension, we exist in 3 dimension, and we go through the fourth, which is time, right? So if there's a dimension above
Correct.
that, yeah, if there's a dimension above that, like a fifth or a sixth one, would we even understand, even be able to perceive it? Likely not, right? We won't be able to perceive it. Even though that being the case, could we say that those fifth and sixth dimensional beings, or being, whatever it is, created us? Not necessarily, because just like how your example of the ant, yeah, I mean, we didn't create ants. We're just more complex than them.
Right.
You know what I mean? So a fifth dimensional being, necessarily being or beings didn't necessarily need to create us. They're just more complex. Now, if it did create us, like for example, like I love Marvel comics. If it's like a Franklin Richards, something like that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if you even know what I'm talking about, but if it's something like that, then yeah, will we even? How do we even get evidence to believing it? You know what I mean? If it could interact with us,
Yeah.
it probably should. You know what I mean? So me, I err on the side of, let's get the evidence first before we believe it. But I don't have a big beef of, against the thought process that of a higher dimensional being, someone from the fifth or sixth or seventh dimensions existing, and we're not able to perceive them. I don't have a big problem with that. There's no evidence to believe that first, but it's a cool concept. I don't have any beef with it. I'm not gonna argue down about it. No, that's not who I am. But if you said, like, hey, there could be a fifth dimensional being out there that we can't perceive, yeah, sure, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna beef with it. Like, it's something that'll be cool. It'll be a good Rick and Morty episode. So like, I don't have a big problem with it.
Yeah. Fair enough, brother. Yeah, appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no, not a problem. But all right, if that was it, Kevin, I'm gonna go ahead and get to the next caller. But I appreciate you calling anytime.
Yeah, appreciate your time, brother. Take care.
You too. All right, guys. We are gonna keep it pressing. We're gonna keep it pressing. Hey, y'all, I appreciate y'all once again. Quick commercial break. Shout out to Rocket City Reason. Y'all, Rocket City Reason is coming in October. Go ahead and get your tickets at rocketcityreason.com. I'm gonna be your MC for the day, along with, who's my co-MC? Hold on, give me a second, y'all. I forgot her name. I do apologize. I forgot your name. What's her name again? Sydney Davis from Growing Up Fundy. Sydney Davis from Growing Up Fundy is going to be my co-host at the Rocket City Reason conference. It's going to have a bunch of people there, y'all. So definitely come through. It'll have Forrest. I don't know if you guys know who Forrest is. Seth Andrews is also going to be there as well. He's a keynote speaker. Forrest Vocali. He does science communication here on YouTube as well. He's also going to be there. Mandisa Thomas from Black Non-Believers is going to be there. Erica, she's a science communicator as well here on YouTube. She's going to be there. The Skeptic, he's a panelist. He's going to be there as well. So definitely go there for the Skeptics. Godless Engineer, he's going to be there as well. I've been following Godless Engineer for a while. Jesus Unfollower, if you know about Jesus Unfollower, he's going to be there. Black Atheist Rants is also going to be a panelist. He's going to be there. Thinker is a big atheist here on TikTok. She's going to be there as well. Arden Hart, who is a producer on The Line. If you know about The Line, it has Matt Dillahunty, Joe Van Bradley, Forrest as well. They're also going to be on there. Sadie Carpenter, another one. I'm just shouting people out, just going down the list, shouting people out. Just Jasper Hoffman. She runs Plain. I forgot what she runs, but there's also Phil Ferguson who does the Phil Ferguson show. He's also going to be there as well. So Godless Granny as well. Godless Granny. Shout out to Godless Granny. She's going to be there as well. So lots of people for the Rocket City Reason Conference. It's a 2-day conference. It's going down in October the 23rd to 25th. Y'all be there. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my next caller. And then after 614 is going to be 314. And then I'll probably end the live there. All right. So 614, how's it going? Can I get your name, age, and do you think you give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Yeah, my name's Philip, and I'm calling from Australia.
Philip, Australia. And
yeah,
age, please.
Yeah, I'm 27.
27. And do you think you could give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Yeah, I'll tell you why I believe in a God, because I'm not going to go totally into it, but I was addicted to a substance.
Gotcha.
And
I'm sorry, Philip. Hey, Philip, I'm sorry. Can you pause me just really quickly? I just got to say something real quick. Coco, well, how's it going, bro? Coco, you'll be able to hear my caller, but he's not going to be able to hear you. Just to let you know, all right? But I'm going to get to you right after the caller, all right, Coco? Appreciate you, bro.
Okay.
Appreciate you. All right, Philip, I'm sorry. Go ahead and continue. You said that you were addicted to a certain substance.
Yeah, I was addicted to a substance, and I was working in an industry where you work by the hour. And somebody spoke to me, well, I guess a bunch of people did, I guess, in some way. And so I started going to church, and so I believe in God now, and I go to church, and I gave up that lifestyle. And I just have to look at my hand and look at it and see the interest. The most incredible thing is like, how is it possible that I've got a hand with 5 fingers and all that sort of whatever? I mean, it didn't happen by accident. Somebody created it. It just, you can't say some rock in the universe just bashed into some other planet and then all of a sudden, you know, like the Big Bang Theory, that it just happened by accident. Then you've got the trees and all the other stuff in creation. There's no possible way it could happen by accident.
Okay.
And also too.
So Philip, hold on. So, all right.
Sorry.
So Philip, no one really says that it happens by accident. Yeah, sure. You can say that, you know, it was, you know, chance, kind of random. Sure. But that's not really an accident. You know what I mean? But what I'll also say is that when you said that, you know, cause you kind of going into the, look at the trees type of argument, right? But we can also say, look at the trees. How come it's not Olodumare, the god of West African Yoruba religion, right? What would be the difference between that and the God of the Bible?
Well, you could say it's Buddha. You know, you could say it's any kind of God, the Islam God. You could say whatever you like. But the thing is the actual Bible, if you go on YouTube and you watch stuff, whatever, they've found evidence for all the stories in the Bible, most of them anyway. And so they've got actual evidence to show that everything that's been written in the Bible is true.
Okay, sure. How do we show that Jesus actually walked on water? Well, what evidence do we have of that besides the Bible simply saying so?
Well, we don't have evidence of that.
Okay, cool. What about Elijah flying to the sky like Superman in a chariot? How do we prove that to be true?
Well, see, that's the thing about faith. You just got to have faith, and you just got to believe. I mean, I was standing on the street every night, you know, and just doing what I was doing. And I never thought that my life would change. I knew it would change eventually because I'd get too old to do it. But the thing is like, I had a feeling and I had a dream, and then these Christians came into my life, and then, you know, I have to put it down to the power of God, because there's no way known I would have changed my life.
All right, cool. Now, how do you explain people who've been able to change their lives, being at the bottom? Well, I would say this, Philip. Number one, I'm glad that you're better now, because being addicted to substances is a very, very hard thing to go through. Like I'm planning to be a therapist myself, and I know I'm going to be working with people who are in your position at a certain point. So, excuse me. So I am glad that you are better, and then you didn't go down the road of unfortunately not being here today, because here in America that happens a lot. Unfortunately, that happens a lot because we don't have the same type of universal services that you'll have in Australia, where you can actually get the help. Here in America, if you're addicted to a substance, people think that you just deserve it, and they let you die on the street. You know, I mean, you don't really get any help. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I am
Yeah.
glad that you live in a country or that you are able to get the help that you deserve. So I'll preface by saying that I'm glad that you're still with us. But the second thing that I would say is that there are people who do get through their problems with addiction, and they're not believers, right? And they don't relapse. So my question to you would be, sure, you can say that, you know, you got that way because, you know, the God took you through it. Are you sure you wouldn't be able to do that on your own? Because there are people who have done it on their own. Because in my opinion, you did it on your own.
Well, look, you've got celebrities, right, that grew up obviously in the Bronx or something like that, because I watch YouTube, and they become multi-millionaires and they're famous and they're movie stars. Anybody can do it on their own. But the thing is you know, it's like you can do it on your own, but the thing is if you do it on your own, you're doing it on your own. But having God with you and God helping you, and not even just that, believing in a God, because there's two places you can go to, hell or heaven. And so, you know, I don't want to see people go to hell.
Okay.
And I'm going to be praying for you because I
got you. So Philip, my question would be this: how do we show that all that is true in the first place? Because like you sound like a nice guy, right? You don't want people to suffer. You don't want people to, because you've been you've been on, right? You've been rock bottom before. You understand suffering, and I understand suffering. Like my parents are from a third world country where they've seen horrific suffering. Yeah, I mean my mom has seen horrific things on her way over to America, unfortunately. So like I get it. You don't want to see suffering. And I could appreciate that with you, right? But when we say I don't want you guys to be tortured for not believing in the same thing that I do, can you see how that comes it kind of comes off as that's kind of gross? You know what I mean? Because like, why would I be tortured for not believing the same thing you do? That's kind of, it's kind of Pascal's wager. You don't think so?
The thing is, there's a truth, right? And let's just say we don't know what the truth is, but there is a truth. You can't have multiple truths. That's a load of BS as far as I'm concerned, because you get these celebrities going, this is my truth, this is my truth. But the thing is, there's only one truth. There's only one reality. And so I really, truly believe that God is true. Jesus died on the cross for us and everything like that. But there's got to be only one truth. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could know that truth completely? I mean, I believe in it, but the thing is like, who knows?
Right.
Gosh,
so how do you actually show it to be true though? Like that's my question, Philip. How do we show that a God is true? I understand everything that you've been through, right? But there are people who are part of other religious traditions that have been through something similar, and they're part of another religious tradition. So why is yours true and theirs not?
Let me tell you something. I don't know if you know the foot fungus stuff, you know, like tinea. I had really bad, itchy, horrible feet, stuff like whatever, foot fungus, whatever they call it. And I prayed to God. I said, dear Lord God, please help me, because it was really bad. And I didn't have money at the time. And I woke up the next morning and it was gone. All the itching was gone. All the flaky skin was gone. My feet looked brand new. And I'm not saying that maybe it happened naturally. I don't know. But the thing is like, I put it down to God, because I prayed to God about it in desperation, because I wasn't getting paid until too later in the day, the next day. And it went. To me, that's my miracle. And that really helped me. And maybe that's the way God wanted to show me that he was real, you know, because I was in such a bad place, you know.
Let me ask you a question, Philip. Why did God heal your foot fungus, but my godmother, who passed away from brain cancer when I was 13, why didn't he heal her?
We live in a broken world, and we die. That's the way it works. Because,
okay, great.
You know,
so
apples.
So if prayer is a coin flip, that kind of makes it pointless, doesn't it?
No, well, the thing is like your loved one that died, you know, she's probably in heaven now, sitting down and just having a good time. But the thing is like,
okay. So my
mystery.
godmother is in heaven along with Jeffrey Dahmer.
I don't know about Jeffrey Dahmer, but the thing is like, it's a mystery, you know, because God has a plan, you know. And I know someone in the church that I go to that has brain cancer. Well, had brain cancer, and she was only 32. She's older than me, but the thing is she died. You know, and I don't know if you know why, Wham, it's due for the mission, but the thing is like she had hundreds and hundreds of people praying for her, and she still died.
Right, exactly. So it seems like prayer is kind of pointless because your prayer worked, but she dies. So it's like it's kind of like a coin flip. We get the same results anyway. Like if we're going to live or die according to whatever God's will is, no point of prayer.
Well, the thing is, we live in a fallen world, a broken world. So the thing is, death comes to all of us, you know. And the thing is like things happen. God can do magical things, but the thing is like God has a plan for everything, you know. And so if someone dies, they die, you know. It's in God's will.
I got you.
Not
So
that he's a killer or anything like that.
No, I got you. I get it. That just tells me. But can you understand how that would come off to me like, you know, then prayer is kind of pointless? Because even if I pray so hard for, you know, my cousin who passed away recently to live, they're still gonna die, whatever God's will is, right? So
that sounds sad. Your cousin dying. They must have been quite young.
Yeah, she was 30, so it was pretty rough, pretty hard on my family, you know, like extremely hard. Yeah, I grew up with her. Like I saw her when she came home from the hospital. You know what I mean? Like I was one of the people to hold her first. Like I was like 9 years old when she was born. So yeah, it was pretty tough.
You know what though? I know that you're an atheist, whatever, but I've got a really strong, good feeling that you're going to become a preacher and you're going to be a great man of God. I don't know, you may not believe in that and feel that, but I really feel that, and God has put that upon my heart, and I'm just very grateful that you're here in the world because you're going to do a lot of great work.
All right, not a problem, Philip. I do appreciate you though. Go ahead and call in anytime. All right, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and get to these last two callers, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. But before I get to the last callers, I got the homie Coco on the stage. I'm gonna close up the line now. All right, y'all. Line is closed out, so no more callers. All right. Coco, how's it going, bro?
What's up, bro? I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, man. I was just here, you know, doing the call in today. Making sure that I'm trying to get the 10K likes though. I can't turn off the comments from over here, but I'm trying to get the 10K likes. So if we don't get to those 10K likes, Coco, go ahead and turn off the comments. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like those Christian apologetics, man. Like I've heard them like 100 times over. Like so many people saying like, "Oh, you're an atheist, but God told me you're gonna be a preacher one day and like spread the word of God," and like everything he was saying. It was very common.
It was always so common, man. Like I hear that all the time, and you know what? The thing is, every Christian says the same thing. Like my sister said the same thing to me before too. Like all it's always the same thing. You know, you're gonna be a believer one day, etc., etc. It's always the same thing, man. But I do want to get you into the conversation. It's just I haven't fixed that issue yet, where the guest can't hear you. Like I haven't fixed that yet. I don't know why, but I did speak to Godless Engineer earlier. He says he's gonna help me figure that part out. So once I figure that part out, I'm be able to run like amazing panels. You know, I'll go ahead and get those panels going. And I'm trying to try for this to be my full time. You know what I mean? If I can do that, then I can do like, you know, Atheist in the Morning or something like that. That'll be cool.
Yeah. No, yeah, like it's all about tinkering with it and figuring it out. Like I have to tinker with my setup and like figure it out. And yeah, for sure, that'd be cool as hell.
Yeah, man, that'll be awesome. Do you have a TikTok Studio, or your laptop can't take it yet?
I stream from, well, I used to stream from PC, but like I have to fix something on my desktop computer.
Mhm.
But yeah, I use TikTok Studio and then other programs for sure.
Yeah, man. When's the next day of debates, by the way?
It is. I have an event on February 20th
Mhm.
with like 5 or 6 debates on it, and then I'm gonna be debating somebody on March 6th.
Oh, dope. Well, let me see. Am I doing an interview that day? I might be doing an interview with Gallus. Yeah, I think I'm either doing an interview with Gallus Engineer either the 27th or the 6th. If it's the 6th, I'll still try to come by and get those views up and hit and tap that screen while I'm doing that interview. Who you debating, by the way?
It's gonna be. I'm planning for like a 3v3, so it's gonna be 3 atheists and 3 Christians,
Mhm.
and it's gonna be secular humanism versus Christian ethics. So
Okay.
I think the prompt is going to be like Christian ethics are better for society, and then I would just argue that like I think secular humanism is better for society.
I like that. I like that. I do like that one. So that's a really good one. Yeah. So definitely I'm gonna try to be there for that one. If I'm not doing the interview, so we can go ahead and push that, get those likes up. You know who you should try to. You need to try to get like a Christian woman versus an atheist woman. Have you tried? Have you done that yet?
I used to do debates like that, but
What up, Sandra?
like I could try for that, but I did set one up. It didn't really go through, but I could probably set another one up for sure.
Yeah. Definitely sent one up. But I'm gonna go ahead and get to my caller. Make sure the people tap that screen. You mod up now, so if they don't tap that screen, you're gonna go ahead and stop them comments. All right.
Do you? And yeah, I'll be hanging around. I'll be listening.
Definitely, man. Go ahead and hang around for me. All right, y'all. Coco's going back to the comments. Coco is modding for me right now. So if y'all don't get us to 10K likes, he is gonna stop those comments. What up, Sandra? What up, Big Bad Wolf? I do see you there. We're gonna go ahead and get to 314 and then 931. You're gonna be my last caller for the night. Stay on the line with me. All right, 931. All right, so 314. How's it going? Can I get your name, age, and can you give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Can you hear me, first of all?
I can hear you, yeah.
Yeah. I am the Lou from the Lou. I'm 63 years old. And one thing I would like to tell you, we ain't got to go to a book. Have you seen these 2 movies? Heaven is for Real. And the most important one is Miracles from Heaven. That little boy, 4, maybe 5 years old, telling them things there's no way possible he had any idea of knowing. But the most important thing is this. A little girl experienced the same thing, and she lives in Ukraine. They showed this kid all these white Jesus pictures to this little boy. He said that's not him. But when they showed him the picture with this little girl from the Ukraine, which she drew, they said, who is this? He immediately said that was Jesus. But here's the most important thing. How does a little girl that has intestinal problems, no one has ever survived from that, she was going to die within a year. She falls what they estimate 3 stories. She said she left her body. She talked to God. She came back. No broken bones. No bruises. Do you understand what I'm telling you? You got some people can't trip over their own 2 feet and break their neck, man. And the most amazing thing, her intestines were all corrected. Now she's living a normal, healthy life. The guy, you could call him right now. He's in Boston. Big time physician. Explain to me, how does that happen if there's not a God?
People,
I want to know, how come you don't believe?
All right, cool.
Tell me.
All right, cool. All right, so I don't believe because there's no evidence that is true, and there's no reason for me to believe it because it does nothing for my life. But
Well,
the second thing
watch
that I
them
would
two
say,
movies,
well, hold
man.
on. The second thing that I would say is when it comes to those movies don't really prove anything. Like, so what? Someone could have produced that, and they all could have just been lying, right? So that doesn't really show anything that is true or not. What I would say is that we would need actual solid evidence proof that this is an actual thing instead of just assuming that it's some sort of like miracle or whatever.
Can I say something to you, sir?
Yeah,
What more
sure.
proof do you have than medical documents
Mhm.
when this little girl came for a year and a half almost? Here are the documents where they caught this plane from Texas to Boston.
Mhm.
The medical evidence is there.
Yeah,
Okay?
so well,
don't say
when it comes
it's
to
not, it can't be proven.
right, when it
You
comes
refuse
to
to believe.
when it no, when it comes to like
So they
medical
made that
things,
up, huh?
when it comes to like medical things, right? There are people who cancer goes into remission, who survive intestinal things, who fall from like 10, 20 stories and still survive. We don't know exactly how it happened. They were very, very lucky. Yeah, sure. They're basically exceptions to the case, the exceptions to the rule, but that doesn't necessarily mean that now miracles are true just because they survive something that's rare to survive.
No, it's not survive. You don't fall 3 stories, don't have no bruises, no broken bones, and then all of a sudden your intestines that were all over the place, now they're perfectly in place. No,
I mean,
man.
when
And then
when
it
it comes,
goes back.
hold on,
Hey,
bro,
brother.
Lou, listen. When it comes to intestines, there's something that people don't really know. There is no perfect place for your intestines. Like, for example, when doctors do surgery on your midsection and they have to remove or move your intestines, all they do is throw them all back in there. Your intestines will go ahead and shape themselves back into place. You don't have to do anything. They'll just throw all the intestines back in there. You know what I'm saying? That like that's literally how it works. Like there is no perfect place for your intestines to be.
Well, you know what? For you not to be a doctor, you sure sound like one. Now, here's the doctor that's been doing this for over 20 years. He's the best in the business. He said he ain't never seen nothing like this before in his life. Okay?
Yeah, I'm pretty
the
sure
little
that,
girl said she talked to God.
okay, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's the case. He's never seen anything like that in his 20 years of life. That doesn't mean that a God exists. Nor does it mean that a little girl saw a God. There are plenty of people who claim that they saw a God and they have different explanation, not different explanation or different descriptions of what that God is, how they sound like, what it wanted. What's crazy to me is that most people who are in the West who say that they see Jesus always see a white dude with blonde hair. That's always the case. And Jesus wasn't a white dude with
No,
blonde
what
hair.
I just got you telling you, man. The little boy, this little girl painted the picture. He had the same experience, but she on the other side of the world. She was an artist. She drew a picture of Jesus, and when he saw that, he told them that was Jesus. I said to you earlier in the conversation that the white man that painted all these pictures of blind-eyed, blue-haired Jesus, and when they showed him the picture, he said, no, that's not him. But when the little girl had the same experience he did, and she drew a picture of him, then he pointed it out and said, that's Jesus.
So?
Don't you remember me talking about that earlier?
Yeah, but so what? What does that show?
Yeah. But you sitting there, you just got to talking to me about, well, they drew on pictures of Jesus, of doing this, doing that. I thought we already covered that when we first got on the conversation with you.
All right, but what I'm saying is, well, okay, I'm saying two things. Number one, most people who have those near-death experiences and claim they saw Jesus, most of them do the white hair, the blonde hair, blue-eyed one, right? That's what most of them do. Now, this little girl, she didn't do that, and the little boy said that, yeah, that's Jesus. So, well, what does that show? What does that show us?
How? Okay, man. Now, just say you're in Florida, I'm in Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
How far apart are we? This
About
little girl
a couple thousand miles.
He's in America. She draw this picture. How are they gonna get together? He's 5 years old. She like 6 or 7.
Okay, I understand all this, right? No, I get exactly what you're saying. I'm hearing you. What I'm saying is that that doesn't prove anything. That's what I'm saying.
It proves a lot to me.
Why?
I mean,
why does that prove anything to you?
You tell me. It proves more to me than what you're trying to prove that don't exist. At least there's physical evidence.
I didn't say anything doesn't exist.
Evidence do you have that God don't exist?
I didn't say God doesn't exist. I said there's
At
no reason
least
to.
we got a
I didn't say
couple of movies.
Lou, slow
We got
down.
people
Lou,
that
you need to
say
slow down.
that they
Hey,
come
Lou, please, you need to slow down. I didn't say a God doesn't exist. I said I have no evidence to believe that one is true. And two little kids agreeing on what
if
Jesus.
you
Hold
don't
on,
believe
bro. Hold on, Lou.
don't exist,
Lou,
brother.
you need to hold on. You need to know. Hold on. Just stop reacting. Hold on for me. I said I have no evidence to show that a God exists, right? So I don't believe in one. Two little kids agreeing on what Jesus looked like does not prove to me that a God exists. Now, Jesus might have been a real person. I have no, hold on. Let me just finish. Jesus might have been a real person. I don't have any beef with that. How do we actually show that he had powers and raised from the dead? Because that's a claim. It's not evidence.
I'm not talking about that. I'm telling you, for those two movies, what these people have fought and went through.
I understand,
And
bro,
you can
but
call,
movies don't show
doctor's
anything to me,
name,
man.
but you call
That's what I'm
talk to
saying.
him right now.
Lou. What I'm saying is that movies do not show me anything. You can find movies about Islam. They don't show me anything, bro. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, brother, I'm talking about you can call this real doctor. He's still practicing right now in Boston. You understand what I'm saying? Watch the movie, man. You understand what I'm telling you? Watch the movie. You have a good day, brother.
Alrighty. All right, guys. We're gonna go ahead and keep it trucking, keep it moving. I think I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the call lines in just a bit. I should have already also, as a matter of fact, but I'll go ahead and take 931. Probably just one more caller after 931, and then we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. 931, how's it going? Can I get your name, age, and do you think you give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Yes, I can.
All right, name and age, please.
My name is Larry Adams, and I am 66 years old.
All right, Larry,
And,
66. How's it going, Larry? Oh, the other call. Give me 1 second, Larry. All right, the other caller dropped out,
Yes,
so
sir.
I'm gonna go ahead and close up the call lines. All right, guys. So call line is now closed. No more callers. Larry, you're gonna be my last caller for tonight. Appreciate you for being here. Thank you for the follow over
Yes,
on
sir.
TikTok, Corella. Thank you so much. All right, Larry. Let's go ahead
Yes,
and talk for, let's say, I'll give you about 15 minutes, and I'm go ahead and get out of here. All right, Larry. What's a good reason for me to believe in a God?
Well, the only thing that I could tell you, sir, the experience that God gave me when I was 8 years old, I was in my bed, and I was it just like I'm like, well, why am I different from everybody else? Why am I in this room talking to God when I should be outside playing like other kids? And my mom would come to the room and she said, won't you go outside and play like normal kids? And when I would go outside, I would play. But then I got to thinking, I said, but I want to go back in there and talk to God again. I was 8 years old. I'm sorry, hold on. And then I would sneak back in the house, and every time I get the Bible, she'll make me put it down. And I would go in the closet, and I'll lay in the closet, and I get my flashlight, and I would just shine it so I can still read the Bible. But I just thank God. And then another situation happened to me when I got older. I went to my hometown. I was in the Army, and I went to my hometown. I said, well, let me put my stuff away and go and visit the young ladies and let them know that I'm in town. But when I got to my car to reach it, I heard a voice that said, go out and witness for me. And when I looked around, I was going to say, boy, won't you stop playing with me? But I didn't see nobody. And then when I turned the other way, I didn't see nobody. So I turned all the way around. And then when I went and got in my car, I said, God, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? I had a confrontation with God.
All right. I don't care about testimony, guys. All right. So last call for tonight, 228. How's it going, 228? Can I get your name, age, and can you give me a good reason to believe in a God?
My name is Charles, and I'm 31 years old.
All right, Charles. Can you give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Okay, so I'm a reverend. I'm not gonna debate scripture with you or any historical references, but there's a method that I put to people in the quest for finding God that most people engage with in different ways, and they don't ever really have any ground. When seeking God, there's a method that you can use that most people will never tell you. They usually talk against it. But when you're searching for God, you need to go directly to God. And what that means is if you got to antagonize, if you got to go to God with all your fury, rage, hate, all of that, if you got to attack God with everything you have to get him to show his hand, that's where you're going to find him. You're looking around, posting these things up, talking about you're looking for a sign from men. You're looking for men to give you the answer that you're looking for. You can piss God off, and he won't have a choice. He's even stated it in the scripture. He'll come a knocking, and you'll know beyond a shadow of an unreasonable doubt. Get to fucking with him. That's how you find God. If you're not the type of person that goes seeking for treasure,
Charles, you need to actually show that a God exists first.
I can't reveal God.
Okay,
Only
cool.
God can reveal God. That's
Cool.
why I'm telling you.
Cool. So
If
why
you
doesn't
seek the treasure and don't find it, that's fine.
my question would be why doesn't he just reveal himself and then we'll seek him?
What I'm doing, that's why I told you why I called. I'm not calling to debate the scripture or any historical references. There's avenues that you search for things. And I'm just telling you there's an alternative to finding what you might be looking for. If you truly are trying to discover God, you can discover God, but you're not going to find it by asking men for evidence. Anybody can bring you anything and do it.
I got you, but I agree with you, right? Only that that God can show himself, but for the past 2,000 so odd years, he's been hiding. Why not just show himself?
You know, he's hiding for the people that ain't looking for him. Everyone that's gone looking for him will call you and say, "Hey, I found God," and they'll tell you all about it. Somebody will call you and say, "Hey, man, I was hot and mad, and I went to war with God, and he came and told me the truth."
What about people?
That's how you find it.
I understand that, right? But the thing is, though, if you're going, it goes from an old adage: if you go look for something, you're gonna find it. I'm pretty sure if I look for fairies, I'm gonna find fairies.
No, I've looked for fairies.
Yeah.
And I don't think you ain't gonna find the fairies.
If I truly believe that fairies exist, I'm gonna find fairies, right? Like you don't find things that you don't find. What I'm saying is you don't find things that you don't believe in.
See, that's why I wasn't trying to, debate scripture or say do this or do that or read this or read that or listen to this or listen to that like other people. I'm telling you that this life is a journey, and if God sees you in your journey kicking up stones, causing a fucking stir, he's going to reveal himself.
Okay, how come he hasn't
done it? He's going to reveal himself. Some people find him searching with sweet shit, and they're like, "God, just please give me a sign." They get it. Some people need to do it another way. You, for example, maybe you need to start antagonizing God.
Why? Well, why do I need to start antagonizing God? How come he just don't show himself? He could come down right now and be like, "Hey, yo, what's good, bro?" Or write his name on the sky and said, "I'm right here." Why we got antagonized? That kind of seems silly.
That's why I would have to give you a scripture. It is the glory of God to conceal a thing, and it is the honor of men to seek it out. And the reward is in them that seek it out.
Okay, so we gotta believe something is true before we actually have evidence that it's true. That's why would we do that? If I told you that I had $10 billion in the Bahamas, give away all your retirement money and come follow me to Bahamas because I'm gonna give you $500 million. Are you gonna believe me just because I said so?
Well, what I'm getting at is
right.
You currently have 2 treasure maps that you're following, and you're going to these X's and you're not finding stuff. But there's a 3rd treasure map in your pocket that you never engage with, simply because the first 2 didn't have any treasure. So you're just going to assume that the 3rd one doesn't. That's not really a way about continuing.
How do you know that I even have a treasure map? How do you know there's even treasure? I know any of this.
You're following the treasure map right now. You're setting yourself up. You're saying, "Bring me to the finish line. Show me the X on the map. Point to it." You're asking everybody that comes to the channel to point to it. I'm telling you, maybe you're using the wrong treasure map, and men ain't going to lead you in the right direction. If you want to find God,
what I'm asking is,
map up.
Right. So that's the question I'm asking. You're putting the cart before the horse. How do we know there's even treasure first?
Look, if what you're seeking in God does not equate to a value that would have you searching for it, regardless of knowing the treasure was there or not, then you're not even a treasure hunter. Treasure hunters go out with these old maps from 600 years ago, dig it up and say, "Oh, they must have moved it." They keep digging.
Keep digging. Yeah,
They keep digging.
Yeah, exactly, because they know that there's that the treasure exists, right? So we know that a
It's the
treasure exists, and
that you're seeking.
right. So we know when people have treasure maps, we know that the treasure existed already. So what I'm saying is that when it comes to this case, because we're using this analogy to be God and everything like that, we need to actually know the treasure exists first, right? It's the same thing that I said about the $10 billion in Bahamas. How do you know I'm actually telling you the truth that there's actually billions of dollars there? What do you need?
Well, first you got to. Well, I'm just going to be frank with you. You got to take a leap of faith, go to the Bahamas, and find out. That's the only way you're going to know.
Ain't no way, bro. Charles, ain't no way. Ain't no way. I'm gonna tell you, hey, I got $10 billion. Quit your job and follow me over there. Charles. Ain't no way that I'm gonna tell you, hey, I got $10 billion in the Bahamas. I'll give you 500 million if you quit your job right now and follow me over there. That you're gonna do it. You ain't doing that, bro. You're not gullible. I know you're not.
No, that's a really wild analogy. God's not asking you to do anything crazy like that.
But that's the thing. Yes, he is, because there's no evidence of the $10 billion. Like, he didn't leave any evidence of his existence except for these except for these books that claim that he does exist, and we don't know if those books are telling us the truth. So what else do we have? You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, how about we put it this way?
Mm-hmm.
If the value of the potential treasure is high enough, how high would it have to be? How high would the value have to be for you to keep on seeking out this potential, not knowing whether or not it was real or not?
$10 billion. It will be $10 billion.
Value that you see that, yeah, $10 billion. Yeah, and I do this and I do that, and you say this, yeah, I might give it a shot. I might pop up in the Bahamas just to see. It's worth the risk, is what I'm getting at. Yeah, right. If it's $10 billion, they say it's in the Bahamas.
That ain't no way, bro. Ain't no way. Ain't no way people are this gullible. Anyway, yo, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, man. I do appreciate you all being here. I'm gonna go ahead and end the live here, y'all. I appreciate y'all. Once again, over on the Volcy Thoughts channel, like I said, you guys can always call in. I don't know why you guys just keep with this thing of cussing me out in the comments and never actually call in. You all can actually call in, man. There's no problem there. Call in. Let me know what you think. All right, Opulzo, you've been in the comments this entire time and you never called in. I don't know why. You were in the comment for like an hour and a half and you never called in. I don't know why you do that, but go ahead and call in next time if you would like, and we can go ahead and talk about evolution and all that good stuff. Over on the Deconstruction Junction, hey guys, I appreciate y'all there. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for being here on the Deconstruction Junction. Remember to follow or to get your tickets for Rocket City Reason conference going down in October. Over on the Black Atheist Coalition, I do appreciate y'all there over on the Black Atheist Coalition. Once again, y'all wonderful. I appreciate all the support and all the comments. And if you're watching me over on Twitch, I appreciate all the support and comments over there as well. Y'all wonderful. So I'm going to go ahead and end this live with a message for all the young men out there. For all the young men out there, I always say the same thing. Your masculinity does not have to be based in dominance. Every man should be soft. Masculinity is softness. And what is softness? That's being secure, affectionate, wise, flexible, and thoughtful. To be soft, all right? To be soft is to be masculine. I appreciate you all. Join me next time. I'll be on with Black Atheist Rants tomorrow. Y'all have a good night, all right?
The only jeans that have a kind of stretch to it is the one with the drawstring.